All right, so today I have the pleasure of speaking with WormTime, otherwise known as Matthew, in real life. He's the 2025 Retro League PDS2 champion, so congrats on your recent win, sir. And
Thank you.
gosh, how long have you been playing Star Wars CCG? Like, what's your story there?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Big fan of your channel. I think you're doing some great things. So feel privileged to be part of it and the history of Star Wars CCG here.
Thank you.
My story with Star Wars CCG goes back to when I was a kid. Game came out when I was about 11 years old, and at that time I was a big Star Wars fan. So my parents got me this game, and the mechanics of it were it was great. You can have all these thematic battles and play with the characters that you saw in the movies, and as a 11-year-old kid, that was just phenomenal for me. And unfortunately, back then, we didn't have the luxuries like we have now with GEMP and all these things. So you had local card game stores that you could possibly go down and play some tournaments at. But the area that I lived in wasn't really that popular, so I didn't get too much opportunity there in live play. And back in the day, we had America Online, and they had some chat rooms, and we would play over the chat room. Now, people definitely scamming their Destiny draws here and there, things like that. What can you do? But you had to get the games in. So I played that for a number of years when I was a kid, and kind of culminated about age 14. I didn't have a lot of cards, and it was tough to assemble decks. But I was in these chat rooms on America Online, and one of the people who was in that chat room in America Online was this guy Marco Habert, who was from New York City. He was #1 in the world at the time, and he knew I was a kid. And they had a regional qualifier for Worlds coming up. It was New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania all mixed together. So some of the biggest states as far as player pools go. And I said, hey, listen, I want to play. I'm gonna play, but I don't have mains. I don't have Obi-Wan. I don't have Darth Vader, man. Like, can you help me out? And this guy, to his credit, loaned me these. I mean, at the time they were $50, $60 rares. Which was it was a big responsibility as a 14-year-old. I'm getting these things from the #1 player in the world. Is pretty crazy. So he gave me these cards, and I put them in, and I played the decks. And in that tournament, I came in sixth place as a 14-year-old, which was phenomenal. The only loss that I had was to this guy, Chris Janiak. He was #3 in the world at the time. And, I still have very fond memories because, as a kid, you're playing against adults, and you find success, that's a proud moment for you. So I was thrilled about that. But, shortly after that, and this was in 1998, I was getting older, and Star Wars cards were expensive, and I wanted to spend my money on other things. So the game just kind of fell by the wayside after Endor for me, and I didn't make it to the Death Star 2 set or any of the following sets. There was some periods in my life where I got some cards on the cheap here and there, and had some nostalgia of opening some packs and things like that. But I didn't play at all from probably like 1998, 1999, all the way until February of last year, February of 2024. And I'm sort of semi-retired now. I'm a professional poker player,
Nice.
so I have a lot of free time, and poker wasn't going super well, and so I had some extra time, and I was like, well, I need to fill this time to not go crazy. So I said, you know what? Let me give this GEMP thing a try. And they had the retro tournament going. It was like $10 to enter, something like that. And I figured it'd be a good way to slowly get back in the game. You start with the early sets, and then you just kind of progress through. So last year I played, first couple of events, I got my clock cleaned pretty badly. But by the end of the year, I was probably about 50-50, and I was feeling good about that. So this year, my goal was to place somewhere in like the top 15 at the end of the year. And I'm well on track right now. For that, I think I'm in like fourth or fifth place or something like that. So, we got an outside shot at the top 8, which would be phenomenal. As you mentioned, I somehow managed to win the Death Star 2 league, which was completely unexpected. I did not fancy myself to be that competent of a player. and I had to face some tough opposition. I think I faced COTVG in round 2 or 3, and then Brad Kipple in round 5, and Patrick Johnson in the final round. So I had some tough games. Somehow came on top, which was surprising because they had the match play for Death Star 2, and I made it to, I think, top 16. I got matched up with Brad Kipple, and he eviscerated me. I mean, the games couldn't have gone worse. It was an absolute travesty. I think you've seen the games. They were terrible. I don't know what else to say. They were the worst games you could ask for. I went in with high hopes. I was like, I can beat this guy, and I got thoroughly smashed. So I got a chance at redemption in the retro league, and I was able to beat him, which was nice. And I think we'll probably take a look at that game later. But so yeah, my story is not as I've never been to Worlds. I'm not a world champion like some of your previous guests, or have been playing the game for 20, 30 years. I don't know if you'd still consider me a new and returning player. I don't really anymore. I kind of felt that once I was winning more than half my games, kind of, get rid of that moniker a bit. And they have the NARP leagues, and I didn't want to go in there and just stomp around at people trying to get back into the game. I'd much rather let them play each other. I'll play them in casual games, and hopefully give them all the chances, in the world to win, because that's what it's all about. I don't mind losing games. I actually I relish it. Sometimes I think it's important for everybody to get a turn to win. So sometimes you gotta be the loser. It's just the way it goes.
I mean, this is a two-player game. It's very hard to get a tie in Star Wars CCG. It's technically possible if someone gets Battle Plan, Battle Order. It's rare, but no, I mean, you
I've
got
always
your
wondered what happened in that scenario. Tie
yeah,
game, huh?
yeah. It's very rare, but even then, someone probably will have more force. But no, honestly, no. I think it's similar with me a little bit. I mean, I think I started a little bit in 2021, 2022, and I kind of took a breaks here and then, but was inspired by Andy's League to kind of come back in. And you joined Andy's League too, obviously, as well. And yes, I also got humbled a bit, but I really appreciate the fact that even what, it's been 20 years since this game, since premiere started, that we still have a bunch of people willing to play, and that's a
It's fantastic. It's
yeah.
and it speaks to how great of an engine the game is. I know Wars trading card game didn't do very well, and I think that's because it doesn't have that robust lore that Star Wars has. But if you were making a game for the platform of Star Wars, I mean, this is it. They've had however many CCGs that have came after this one, and they've all failed. They've all failed miserably. This one's still going after 30 years. I mean, that's phenomenal. And again, it's a shame that there's no real way for that mechanic to be, revitalized and relived through another, card maker. But at least we have the virtual set. I haven't gotten into the open play and the virtual cards, but virtual set 25 came out, and I see a lot of open games going on right now. People seem very excited about that set. So, good on the players committee, and I give them props for keeping this game living.
Absolutely, and I'm grateful they have, and I'm grateful, the fact that we have GEMP, and it's kind of allowed both of these sets of players, and there's definitely overlap between the two to kind of enjoy the game for
Yeah.
sure. So, going back a little bit of history, so you quit around kind of indoor. You said you occasionally got cards back then. Do you remember? Did you start at Premiere or New Hope? Do you remember kind of what set you
Yeah,
started
I
with?
started right at Premiere. They had that introductory two-player set,
Mhm.
and I got myself one of those, and slowly built up some packs here and there. And you know, by the time I was finishing, a great Christmas, if I got a whole booster box of something, that was always a fun Christmas, and you got to rip open 30, 40 packs. Can't complain about that, but yeah, I was in there for a while and got to see the evolution of the game during that time, which was interesting because the internet existed, but the dissemination of information wasn't what it is today, and
Right.
the strategies were not as robust as they were today. So many. I mean, you look at a deck like the Brangus Glee decks, where it's this minor character. Everything back then, it was really mostly mains based until odds came around. That whole debacle, you had the operative debacle and things like that. But you know, for the most part, Decipher was always trying to steer it towards those mains, and they were releasing sets so fast that the meta didn't really have a chance to evolve to the point that it did, that it is now, obviously. So they're always just, oh, here's a new set and here's new cards. And then you never really found out really what was the best decks of every particular expansion.
No, I agree with you, and I think I look back on kind of like Wikipedia for like the dates between like sets, and I think like Death Star 2 came in July, and then you had like Worlds like 2.5 months later, like literally at 2.5 months. Massive changes in the game, tons of new characters, starting with three effects, versus one in the past. And you're absolutely right; they didn't have a whole lot of time to kind of adjust, and it's amazing how fast I guess relatively speaking, 2001 was faster. They did all of the episode one sets plus Reflections 3, so they did crazy.
Yeah, once they lost that contract, they just started flying them out.
They did. And, in hindsight, now we know that the reason Reflections 2 was kind of weird because, you had the Shizor objective, but you didn't have any Shizor's palette sites or anything specific. That was because, it was a rush set 2. So it was rushed all the way back to Reflections 2, in all honesty.
Mhm.
Um, so But no, I think there's a lot of a good nugget there. It's still fun today. Not a perfect game by any means, but and opinions differ. But I think even with whatever supposed flaws individuals may see, it's still fun enough, competitive enough in most of the ways. So that's appreciated. So cool. All right. So Premiere through Indoor back 2024. Awesome. So all right. So shall we get to the decks?
Yeah, sounds great. So we're going to look at the Super Falcon decks first.
I think so. I think we'll kind of go for your signature Super Falcon deck, and then kind of we'll go from there. I think that's a good place to start
It's
here.
quite bizarre to already have a signature deck, and again, I'm basically just a new and returning player,
I mean,
but it is true.
yeah. So maybe walk people through your thing, and maybe I'm missing a card here. Did I click the wrong thing? Did you give me 59 cards? But I don't know what I'm missing here.
Well, that's the old deck, so it's possible that I was editing it at one point and saved it because again, this is the old version and it just never got the other card added in or whatnot.
Okay.
But when I came back, like I said, I started with Premier to Hoth. I was playing that for a while, and the gameplay there is just terrible. I mean, Scanning Crew is just so prolific that it just makes it's a very unfriendly format for returning players.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I came along until I got to some sets, Death Star 2 and Reflections 2 formats that I really found the game to be a much more balanced, fun uh, experience where you could pick different strategies. You didn't have to fit this cookie cutter mold like you did in the early sets because there was such a limited card pool. And now you could be creative with the way that you played. And so I was playing these games, and I can't remember all the different decks that I was using back when I first started, but some of the frustrations that I felt early that really guided me into making this deck here were that I was getting punished in games with a few things. Number one, activation. Activation is so crucial in this game. You have to have enough force flowing through those piles that you can do what you want every turn. Is very important. And actually, oh, it's kind of surprised. I guess that was a second version of my deck there. And the other thing that was really struggling for me was destiny draws. I was getting hammered. I'd go into these battles, I'd feel all confident and be like, draw destiny, one, draw destiny, two. And my
Yeah.
opponents would be like, five, six, four. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm getting murdered out here,
Right.
like just getting murdered. So I said to myself, I'm going to make a deck. And this deck is going to do two things. It's going to activate force and it's going to have high destinies.
Yeah.
And at the same time this was going on, there's a guy who you did a deck tech video with, DWLP or something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Really nice guy, good player, but his thing is tractor beams or ties. Okay,
Yeah.
tied bombers, in fact. And so he would play this tractor beam deck, and if you played space, and I think I started with like hidden base X wings because it was a very simple deck to interact with, to learn from. Johnny Chu made it up, and I had my own, tweaked version, but it was, similar thing, X-Wings, and he would just start just zapping them up and making them his. And it was like, whoa, what the heck? So, the deck was beatable, but you'd have to play something like Profit and just stay out of space and just race them. And that's a boring game, right? There's no
Yeah.
interaction. You get out there, you do your damage, he does his, and we see who wins.
Right.
And then he came out for a little while. He was playing around with this TIE bomber deck. This thing was bananas. And with all the major decks, he would just collapse all your sites. Play Tatooine. Oh, the cantina's gone. Oh, the audience chamber's gone. And then he'll deploy Bombing Run, which they have this card, Planetary Subjugation, which allows you to add up to 5 to any of your TIE bombers. So they started at 0 destiny. You could add up to 5, right? And in a bombing run battle, if they throw out the concussion missiles, I think it is, or maybe it's the proton bombs, I can't remember which one, they draw destiny. If it equals the destiny of any of your characters that are there, they're all lost. Not hit,
Right.
they're lost. They're just
Yeah.
gone. So the idea is to push you towards those exterior planet sites and then just hit you with a bombing run battle and just do catastrophic damage. So I was like, man, how do I play against these decks? Because if you go into space against it, again, he's got this magic +5 to destiny, flawless marksmanship. All of a sudden, he's drawing 9 for a weapon destiny. He's shooting everything out of the sky. He'll shoot home one out of the sky. I've seen him do it. Like, no big deal. Boom, dead. So it's like, how are you going to handle this? Right. And I said, I wanted to make this deck that it would be able to activate, draw high destinies, and that I could play in both space and ground. Okay, I had to be able to play in both because Hunt Down will tear you up on the ground, and ISB will tear you up in space. So I come up with this deck, and when I first made it, as you know, I was running Dagobah and Yoda's Hut with it, right? And so I would go in and I would immediately pull out Dagobah, Yoda's Hut, and hopefully get another system in my hand because I would run 7 systems, 8 systems. And so you're getting 2 from Rendezvous Point, 2 from Yoda's Hut, 2 from Dagobah, and hopefully 2 more. You're activating 9 on turn 2. It was pretty solid, right? You can get out what you want. You could play your cards, and that was the big step one. Over time, I found that I could get enough activation out. I didn't need Dagobah and Yoda's Hut. It was an extra turn that it would take to flip Hidden Base because it's not a battleground system. And in addition to that, you can't make Dagobah your hidden base, which means they don't have to go there and probe. So it's easier for them to find your hidden base with Dagobah in the deck than it is if you have like 7 battleground systems. So eventually I said, hey, we'll get rid of this. So you have your systems there. And when it comes to hidden base, I like the 3 big drain systems in there at all times. So you got your Kessel, got your Coruscant, and you got your Kifix. These are all important because if Raltier Ops flips on you, everything else is 0 drains. So you need to have these 3 big systems in there that you can still push some damage against Raltier Ops. Probably the most popular Dark Side deck in Death Star 2 format. So those 3 are important. You've got Endor. I mean, you got to have Endor. Strike planning makes it a 2-0 basically. And your starships move free there from Rendezvous Point, which is important for this deck. Gets you a little bit extra force to play around with if you need to draw a card, things like that. So you got that there. And then I kind of looked at, again, activation. So I originally chose Aquarius, which gives you extra force if you have a starfighter there. It gives you like 3 extra force, I think. And Kashyyyk, which 2-1, and then you get they have to have 6 ability to draw destiny there, which is nice. So that's why I chose that one. And then the last one was Korlug because it's a 2-1, but they can only drain me for 1 there. So all of those systems have some type of benefit, which is why they were selected over other systems. If you do look at the parsec numbers, they're a bit spread out, which I think is good. If they have something like an Executor as one of their few ships, that's got a hyperdrive of 2. So, they've got a lot of ground to cover. They've got to go the length of the star system, and it's going to take them a while to do so. So I kind of like having those spread out there. So those are the systems. At this time, I didn't have any sites in the deck. It was just systems, and my plan is that, if you deploy a site, I will fight you at that site, and I'm going to have good destinies to do so. So how do we get those good destinies? We had to start filling out this deck. So I think I was playing at the time this really cheesy profit deck a little bit, where I used Baragwins at the audience chamber with Bo Shuda, and I would cycle these 7 with Bionic Hand and intruder missiles. And I said, you know what? We'll stick the Baragwins in a spaceship, and they can't be touched up there, right? So we'll put the Baragwins in a spaceship. So the Baragwins are kind of the underlying engine to this deck, and I only got 2 of them in here. Sometimes I go up to 3, but you really only need 1 on the table. If you could get 2 on the table, it's nice, but it's not essential, and it doesn't add a ton because you're always using up your force. It costs 1 to retrieve, things like that. But you always want 1 on the table. And the idea is that when you're losing force, if you have a Baragwin on the table, you want to lose a Destiny 7. You're losing a Bionic Hand. You're losing a concussion missile, and bam, you're immediately retrieving it. So you pay 1 to retrieve it, you put it there, and it's the second card at the bottom. Now, I'm terrible at tracking, but I know that intruder missile is always going to be there for me at the second card because that's where it goes. All right. So the idea is you start setting yourself up with these boosted destinies of 7s because they're going to be important later in the game. You want to draw them for destiny. If you're swinging a lightsaber at Darth Vader and the Emperor Palpatine, you want to hit them. If you start missing down there, you only got, if you look at the characters, I mean, we'll talk about the characters in a minute, but you got Obi-Wan and you got Luke. That's your ground game. That's it. Okay. And those 2 need to be able to go into battle by themselves to do damage and to basically clear sites. That's their job, is to go down and clear a site. If you're Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, maybe you can hold that site, but it's not that important. I need that site cleared. I want it cleared. I don't want that there. Go away, whatever it is. So the Baragwins are the engine that makes that work. And so what you do is you lose off the devices and weapons, and then you retrieve them to set them up for later. All right. So now that we know how the engine works, what do we got to work with? So starships, obviously hidden base deck. You want to talk about what starships we got. When I first made this, I was looking for high maneuver or high armor vehicles or starships, again, to combat the tractor beam issue. So Gold Squadron 1. I love Gold Squadron 1 over the Millennium Falcon. Some people like the other one. You get the immunity attrition with 5 with Han, Chewie, and Lando with the other one. This one, you get 4 with Lando. You can put Nien Nunb on there and get 6. But the thing is that I would run the Admiral's Order. What is that Admiral's Order called? I'll take the leader, which adds 2 to the immunity attrition. So if I got Lando on there and this out, it's already immune to 6. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll take that, and I'm not worried about it because in all other respects, the Gold Squadron 1 is superior to the Millennium Falcon. Except for one, it doesn't have ship docking capability, which every now and then does come up. But what do you get in exchange? First of all, you can't get Talon rolled. That's a big deal. No just disappearing the Falcon with a Talon roll. You get a cheap deploy to Endor. You get a 1 higher destiny. And the maneuver starts higher. It starts at a 5 versus a 4. So for all those reasons, to me, Gold Squadron 1 is superior. And what I was looking to do with this deck to protect myself from those tractor beams is start boosting that maneuver up. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit, but Gold Squadron 1 is the core of this deck. It is the lifeblood. I mean, this is your attack right here. This Gold Squadron 1 is everything. If you can't get this thing into battle, you're going to struggle. So you have to know how to get it into battle, how to force your opponents to fight this thing, how to bait them, how to trap them. And we'll be talking a lot about that. Then you have Green Squadron 3, works with Tycho. He's a spy, so he can show up at the Death Star unannounced. He can show up at Raltier unannounced, things like that. Just really good, and his starships maneuver 5. You've got Home 1, which it's a big boy, armor 8, 9 with Major Hashan on there. Big drawback for Home 1, though, is it's deploy 12. It hurts. It's a lot to deploy it. And again, when you're looking to do a whole bunch of things in your turn, 12 force is a lot to chew up. We got Red Squadron 1 with Wedge as a pilot. Works with Tycho. He can cancel battle destinies. And then you got the Spiral. Spiral, of course, is very important because uh, remember, we have to bait them into coming after the Falcon. The main way people are going to want to do that is with Zuckuss and Miss Hunter. So you plop the Falcon down. It's got Captain Han. It's got General Calrissian. It's drawing 2 Destiny. But Zuckuss comes in and now it's drawing 0 Destiny, basically, because its Destiny draws don't count. So the Spiral comes down, adds 2 ability, and now my Destiny draws are counting. And on top of that, I got 7 extra forfeits. So when you come in with your Zuckuss and your Forlom and you draw 2 Destiny, chances are the Spiral's going to take care of that forfeit for you and cover your other ships. You're not losing Captain Han, the Falcon, or Lando. You don't want to lose them.
That's a good point.
All good so far?
No, it makes perfect sense. And yeah, so I guess one kind of thing. So I mean, obviously you had 2 bionic hands, 2 intruder missiles, and obviously this is your, we have a future version of the deck. But why did you ever think about doing like a catapult, like the Ewok catapult? They spell catapult. This thing.
And the reason would be to protect against like Monarch.
Basically, yeah, basically as a mono, because your chances of using bionic hand are extremely low. Like, why not replace
Yep.
one bionic hand with a catapult or something like that?
I suppose you could. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. Um, it never crossed my mind to do it. This deck really isn't that susceptible to Monarch. If you look, it's got a few cards in there that have duplicates, but there's none that I'm running like 3 or 4 copies of. So I was just never fearful of Monarch, and that's really why they ended up in there. But yeah, I've never deployed in using this deck, ever deployed a bionic hand a single time.
Yeah,
I know it can be, you get disarmed, you can put it on somebody. It's never happened.
it's
Never.
technically possible.
So
It's
yeah, I
hard to
could
use
put a
it, but
catapult in there. It'd be a small improvement, 100%. I'll probably do that, just to a little extra Monarch protection. And I guess in theory, you could also throw it down at the Endor landing platform if you need, and have a little extra forfeit there too. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
But yeah, no, that's a good idea. It's just, again, Monarch's never been an issue for this deck.
okay, fair enough. And obviously, this is 59 cards. I know it says 66. I could add more. So, I mean, didn't she used to have like Luke's lightsaber, or did you have
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
Rebel
Luke's
barrier?
lightsaber definitely was in there. So I could see now why this deck is at 59. If you'll notice, there's a device in their Rebel flight suit,
Yeah,
and they recently released this card, and I was like, let me go in and tinker and play around and see where I'd fit this in, because it was a Destiny 6. It adds 2 to maneuver, which you'll see comes into play, with the Falcon and with some of the other ships and what I'm trying to do. Um, so that's why it's short a couple cards there. Is I was tinkering and then I probably got distracted and never came back to it.
okay. So is it safe to say that card 60, should probably be Luke for this version, just so Luke can, attack
Luke's
people
lightsaber,
to
100%,
yeah.
100% would be, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Um, so those are your ships, and for characters, for the home one, you've got the 3 regulars. You've got Admiral Akbar, adding to its immunity. You've got First Officer Thanispi, who is the light side version of Zuckuss in Mist Hunter, and makes it so that they have to have 7 ability to, or I'm sorry, what is it, 8, 7 ability to get a destiny to count.
Yep,
And Major Hassan, who adds 1 to the armor and cancels lateral damage, which is a good trick.
absolutely.
Um, We've got 2 Captain Hans. He was the key in this first iteration of the deck. I really felt like, if I lose him, I need to have a backup to redeploy him. And then we've got Leia, who adds about. Oh, I'm sorry, General Calrissian. We talked about him a little bit. Adds 1 to the Falcon's maneuver. Um, he's also really good for blowing up the Death Star if you happen to run into TTO.
Oh, true.
You've got Leia, who adds a battle destiny with Han. We've got 2 Lukes. Again, they're the ground assault squad. He's not going to space. You've got 3 Obies. even more so than Luke. He's a kamikaze. He's trying to die when he goes out there because you don't want him sitting by himself after the fact. He's very weak. You know, he gets cut down by Vader, forfeit 0, and now you're in big trouble. So you don't want that because this deck doesn't run Hujix. We've got R2D2 who can bump the Falcon's maneuver up even more. We've got Tycho. Like I said, he's a spy, really good characteristic to have in your deck. And finally Wedge there, who cancels Battle Destinies when he's with Tycho.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to weapons and devices here, you've got two really important ones we haven't talked about. We talked about the throwaways, the Destiny 7s. But you have the X-Wing laser cannons, which is going to be how you take out Zuckuss, okay? You want that coming down with Wedge. You want to take out Zuckuss. You want him gone. Also good at shooting down Boba Fett and his ship if he comes out. Dengar in punishing one. He can get shot down quickly. And those are the three major ones that the dark side uses. Sometimes you'll see they throw some shuttles in there, which are really easy to shoot down, like the Emperor's personal shuttle. But those are rare. But the X-Wing laser cannon, you're going to want to hold that close to the vest. You don't want to deploy that right away, okay? Because you want to have that as a surprise weapon. And then the unsung hero of this deck, the card that makes this deck work that doesn't seem like it's important, is Han's Toolkit. And let me tell you, the amount of games that I've won with this card, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. First of all, people forget that it exists. I throw this down on the Falcon, and they lateral damage the Falcon immediately. And I'm like, oh, cancel. So the Han's Toolkit, if you don't know, for your crowd here, is you deploy it on the Falcon. There's a little glitch. You can deploy it on Han too, which should be better, but it doesn't let you transfer it from ships to characters. You can transfer it ship to ship, but you can't transfer it ship to characters, which makes no sense. It deploys on Han, a character. It should be able to deploy there. So
that might be a GEMP. That might be a GEMP bug potentially. That might
it might be a GEMP bug.
Yeah.
But you put this on the ship, and at any time you can use one force to cancel any interrupt or any effect that targets that ship, unless that effect or interrupt is immune to sensor alter.
Alter control.
Now we're talking Talon roll. We're talking lateral damage. We're talking flawless marksmanship. We're talking they shut down the main reactor. Gravity shadow. Anything mean they can do to you in space, this is going to turn it off. So if you're out there and you're like, man, like I love playing space, but I just can't stand when ISB comes out and just murks me with these monster cards that damage my ships, take a look at Han's Toolkit. It's a great card. I guess there's a card that counters it, but it's not coded into GEMP. So it's basically uncounterable right now, which is good for me. But I'm the only one who plays it. That's the crazy thing. Everybody knows how I use this card. Everybody's seen it, but I'm the only one who plays it. So, you know, it's funny because people have been asking for that card. I think it's like, shut it off, shut it off.
Yeah.
They're like, please, can you get this in? Because we want to clap WormTime with it. And I'm like, man, like just little old me and people want this card because Han's Toolkit's that damaging to them. And I mean, this card doesn't even do damage. It just protects you. But this thing is a blanket. It's a security blanket, and it allows you to be more confident with your deployments. It allows you to spread a lot thinner because you know that, hey, listen, if it comes down to it, I can cancel those critical interrupts and those critical effects. Now, like I said, you can't transfer it person to person, but once you put it on the Falcon, let's say you put it on the Falcon and they lateral damage your other ship. You can move the Falcon over, the next turn, transfer the device over to the other ship, cancel lateral damage, and one turn later, it's gone without moving your ship. So, little tricks that you can run with that card. So those are the devices that I started with. And then I looked at a robust package of interrupts that did two things. One, it would create imbalance in space battles. And two, it would allow me to retrieve. So, this deck starts with 3 or 4 effects, and 2 of them are standard. You're always going to start strike planning so that you can pull General Calrissian. and that Endor is going to be a 2-0 site or a 2-0 location for you. And squadron assignments so that you can pull your spaceships and pilots as needed. Okay, those are your two automatics. You start them.
Mhm.
You also have your insight serves you well, and do or do not. And so you're starting one of those with those first two, depending on which type of deck you're up against. If you're against bring him before me, you're going to want to start do or do not, because if they start sense altering everything, it's bad news. Bad news. So you want them to be punished. They can stop it. They can play their sense. They can play their alter. I can't prevent them from doing that, but I can punish them with 3 force loss for doing it. And that's the goal there, is to be punishing. And then the only other effect that I have in there is order to engage. And again, this is the incentive that we're trying to get them to battle the Falcon, because that's the point of this deck. I want you to battle my Falcon, and you're going to pay the price. You're going to regret it. Everybody thinks they're going to be fine. They're not going to be fine. It's going to be terrible. They're going to hate the battle. And that's just how it's going to go. So we gotta entice them, and we do it with order to engage. So you put that out, you move the Falcon right into the line of fire. Ideally, you want the Falcon underpowered. You want to move it to a location where they're built up. You want them to be strong. You want them to be confident. You want them to come at you hard, because you're about to put some hurt on them. And while you're preparing that, you're trying to get a couple of cards in your hand. Those cards are Dark Light or Spin, a few maneuvers, and one of Punch It or Power Pivot. Okay. Now, the cool thing about those intruder missiles is they can deploy on the Falcon. So you put an intruder missile on the Falcon, you can shoot it at capital ships. And in fact, if they got dreadnoughts, you can hit them. You can hit them. Obviously, you're not going to hit the Executor. Probably not going to hit a big Star Destroyer, but a Dreadnought's armor 4, so you only need to hit a 5 to get it knocked out. You got plenty of 5s, plenty of 7s, plenty of 6s. You got 2 Lukes that are 6s. You got 2 a few maneuvers. You've got 4 7s. You're going to hit things, okay? You're going to hit things. So you can take some shots at Dreadnoughts if you want. Now, like I said, you're going to move the Falcon into battle. If you don't have Leia on the Falcon as a pilot who is 4 ability with Han, then you're going to need Spiral to protect yourself against Zuckuss and Mist Hunter, because none of these tricks are going to work very well if Zuckuss comes down and makes your Battle Destiny 0. Okay. But you load up the Falcon. Ideally, it's got Han. Ideally, it's got either Calrissian or Leia. And you're going to park that in front of the Executor or wherever their fleet has assembled and is trying to cause you trouble. Okay. And hopefully they've got it stocked up with an Admiral, because that's what they like to do. They like to put Admiral Shirano on there, or Admiral Piet, maybe even Admiral Ozzel. And what they're going to try to do is they're going to sit there and they're going to say, I have Imperial Command. This clown thinks he's got Battle Destinies. He thinks he's going to hit me with Punch It. He thinks he's going to do these things, but I've got Imperial Command, and I'm going to limit him to 1 Battle Destiny. Good luck. Because when they battle, that's fine. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to hit them with the power pivot, and we're going to drop that Executor's power down to 0. I don't care how many pilots they have on it. Doesn't matter. You got 0 power now. To do that, you need to have a weapon on the Falcon. So either the intruder missile, or if you can get Wedge there with the X-Wing cannon, that works as well. But typically the intruder missile deploys for free. You can bring it out. It's nice. And now the Executor's power is 0. Okay. And now, bam, let's draw some Battle Destiny. They hit you with the Imperial Command. They said you can only draw 1 Battle Destiny. But here's the thing. We're about to do a few maneuvers. And perhaps, oh, one card I missed is Special Modifications. Sometimes I throw Special Modifications on to the Falcon. Okay. Adds 2 to power and maneuver. It's pretty sweet. So now you got this Falcon sitting there. It's probably power 7 or power 9, but it's got a maneuver of at least 7 with Han on it, possibly 8 if Calrissian's behind it. But what if I have R2-D2 on there? Now it's maneuver 10. And now I play a few maneuvers, and now it's maneuver 12. And if I have special modifications, now it's maneuver 14. And if you look and see what the executor is immune to, you'll see it's less than 12. And now we play our nice little friend, Dark Lighter Spin. Okay. Now, if you can hit a 12 or a 14 for Battle Destiny, that's pretty good. You're going to enjoy that. All right. But you don't need to get it up that high. That's what I found. In later iterations, I don't go as high as 14. I didn't need it. What I do need to get is around an 8 to 10, because I need to pull another 4 out of my deck to, to crush the executor's immunity. But Matt, you can only draw 1 because of an Imperial Command. Not so fast, because I'm not drawing a Destiny with Dark Lighter Spin. I am substituting a Destiny. And you will be able to draw a second Destiny after you substitute. You have to substitute the first one. That's important. You got to substitute the first Destiny with Dark Lighter Spin. You're going to substitute with the Falcon. Now that first draw is an 8 to a 10. And you need a 2 to a 4 to crack the Executor's immunity. And most of the time, they are not going to have 12 forfeit and pilots on that Executor, which means the Executor is going bye-bye. And that's demoralizing. Let me tell you, you crush the Executor, people just quit. People will just exit they'll just say GG, because that's their best ship. What hope do they have if their best ship just got absolutely crushed? And then it goes from bad to worse, hopefully. Hopefully it goes from bad to worse, because after the battle ends, you have the absolutely devastating legendary Starfighter. And you put this on the Falcon or Red 5, and it does 2 damage. It's a 2 ticker every turn during their move phase. So on top of losing the battle, they're now losing 2 every single turn. And the only way to end that is to come fight the Falcon again. You think they want to do that? They do not want to fight the Falcon again. That is the last thing that they want to do after the first fight. And I say this very confidently. I have never lost a game that I've deployed Legendary Starfighter. I've never lost a game where I've deployed that on the Falcon or Red 5. I might have lost one if I've put it on some other random ship because I've had the opportunity. But if that goes down on the Falcon or Red 5, I mean, it's pretty much game over. It's so demoralizing. Again, they've lost their fleet, and that Falcon or that Red 5 is now going to park itself at Kessel or Coruscant, and it's doing 5 damage a turn. 5 damage a turn. There's nothing you can do about it except fight it, in which case you're about to get trounced again. Because if you notice, I have more than one Dark Lighter Spin in here. There's been some people that are like, oh, I made it through the first one. It'll be okay. Bam, hit them with it again. And it's a demoralizing card. So I expected this deck to be very fun, and it is. And I expected it to do well against this ISB tractor beam contraption that was being run. And it was so much fun. I said, let me just throw it up in some lobbies. And it started winning. And it just kept winning, and people really didn't have answers for it. The one thing that we forgot to talk about here, or I forgot to talk about, is On the Edge. So you have all these cards, they're all trackable. A Few Maneuvers puts a 6 back in the deck. Out of Commission puts a 5 back in the deck. Your Baragwins are putting 7s back in the deck. And now you retrieve your force with On the Edge. Get back 6. I've had turns where I get back 12. I mean, you retrieve your whole loss pile. And again, it's a demoralizing event for the opponent. So, we'll talk about how to face certain decks with it, but that's the core elements is you're trying to get the Falcon somewhere. You're trying to get them to battle the Falcon. And if they battle the Falcon, they're probably going to lose. They're probably going to lose the game. So you have to incentivize them, and you have to find a way to get them to fight the Falcon. That's the key.
No, it is demoralizing, and no, I saw you beat Michael Pistone, and he had his executor. He tried doing the Imperial Command, and you blew through him. And the issue is that even if you lose everyone on your Falcon, right, you can still put Legendary Starfighter on your Falcon, even if there's no one left on
Absolutely
there.
right.
And
they can't battle it, and then they can't battle it.
Right. So
it's brutal.
It is.
So to give you some stats here, this old deck, let me refresh the page. this old deck in casual play. SuperFalcon is 19-4, so that's good for an 82.6% winning percentage.
Yeah.
And in competitive play, let's see here. It didn't perform as well, but it still went 7-5, which in the Death Star 2 format where Darkside kind of calls the shots, if you can split your games with light side, that's pretty decent. Now we'll look at the newer version and we'll talk about why it's newer. But the newer version is in casual play, 46-25, good for 65% winning percentage. And in competitive play, it's actually performed much better, 38-13, so 75% winning percentage. So, some big numbers for a light side deck, across the board there.
Nice.
So, one of the things we wanted to talk about with this is that, decks go through an evolution, and, you can't keep your deck exactly as it is. It's not perfect, okay? And so as this came out, it was refined many times, and this is the current iteration that I'm using. The first thing that will jump off the board for you is that there's no home one. It's a great ship, but, it's 12 to get out. You're looking to get the pilots with it, so you got to kind of have at least 3 cards in hand to make it work. And it doesn't work with squadron assignments, so I can't pull the pilots. So I threw it out, and I said, let me go with more starfighters that can use dark light or spin. And we added in 3 ships here over the course of time. The first one is Tala 2 with Lieutenant Blount. It's a ship that goes down for free at Rendezvous Point. Lieutenant Blount costs 2, of course, but it goes down for 3 anywhere else. And it's a spy, so he can show up unannounced at places. And he also has this cool text where he can flip ISB back if he's at Coruscant. So, that will stop them from retrieving their Outer Rim Scouts, a little extra bonus as you go through there. And the second ship that was added was Red 7, I think it is. Is it Red 7 there?
Yes, sir.
What red is that? Red 7, okay. Yep. And Red 7 goes with Eliak Rue. So this ship's got some versatility. Number 1, it's Red Squadron. So if you pair it up with Wedge, he's going to cancel Battle Destiny. It's an X-Wing, so the X-Wing laser cannons works on it. And an X-Wing also comes in with this little tiny side benefit that Tycho Chulo actually draws Destiny anytime he's piloting an X-Wing too. So if you can't get him onto Green Squadron 3, maybe you lost it or whatever, he can hop into an X-Wing and draw Destiny wherever he's at, which is really nice to have.
Absolutely.
Then you have the big boy, Red 5 with R2-D2. And this is just a really nice card that fits with this deck. It's a Destiny 0 or 7, so it fits in with my high Destiny theme. It comes stock with a maneuver of 6, and if you put Farm Boy Luke on it, you got a maneuver 8. Okay? And its hyperspeed's bonkers too. That's the other thing. The Falcon and Red 5. Red 5 is 7, Falcon is 6. You can really jet around. You put a few maneuvers on these things, which adds 2. They can get basically anywhere in one turn. It's really nice. Now, as I was playing through the decks, a few things that I was noticing. The first thing is that I was not getting home one out. There were so many times where it just sat in my hand, and I ended up pitching it because I just didn't have the force to get it out. And so I found that these starfighters, they're much lower deploy, and you can get them out quickly and efficiently, and they can do some damage. All of the starfighters draw Destiny on their own, with the exception of Eliak Rue, who sort of draws Destiny on his own. He draws a power Destiny on his own.
Right. He does.
And so just for efficiency's sake, those work better. Now, one of the most popular decks in the Death Star 2 format for Darkside is Ral Tier Operations. And when we first started talking about the SuperFalcon, that was your number one question. You're like, yeah, but what do you do against Ral Tier Operations? All right, what do you do against this beast? Well, the idea is you don't let them flip. You don't want them to flip because if they flip, they're very, very dangerous. Okay. So these three editions of Tala, Red 7, and Red 5 all combat in some way this situation at Ral Tier. First of all, Tala 1 can go there by itself. He could show up unannounced. Red 7 does two things. First of all, Red 7 deploys free to Ral Tier. So even though the pilot's +2, the overall cost is only 4. And Eliak Rue adds 1 to your force drains at Ral Tier. So now you're draining for 2 at Ral Tier, or you're still draining if they're flipped. You still get a drain of 1 there if they're flipped. But even better is Luke in Red 5. Because here's the thing. One of the biggest problems about Ral Tier Ops is getting all your characters there. They're all +2 deploy. It's a real pain.
Yeah.
But Luke comes free in Red 5. Which means it's only 4 to get Luke in Red 5. You pull him with squadron assignments and bang. And that becomes very important with how we play against Ral Tier Operations, which you'll see in the game. So what you want to do when you face Ral Tier Operations with these new tricks is you're going to pull Endor turn 1. Ral Tier Operations is going to give you at least 2 icons. So you should be activating 5 turn 2 every time. You're going to deploy Gold Squadron 1 with Lando Calrissian pulled through strike planning. And you're going to go to Endor. The Falcon deploys -2 there. And Calrissian deploys -2 on the Falcon. So for 3 force, they go down. 1 force, you move over. And you usually have 1 extra force to play with. And now you are occupying the Ral Tier system. In fact, you're controlling it on turn 2 or turn 1. Okay. That's important because now they can't flip. They cannot flip until they attack you. They have to come there. They have to occupy the system to stop you controlling it, or they cannot flip their objective. Ral Tier Operations is not going to run a ton of ships. 5, maybe 6, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they have 1 in their hand. Maybe. But they're only activating on turn 2 4 force. They can't deploy a ship. So you've got to turn to reinforce. You just need to get there to prevent that turn 2 flip. You don't want them flipping turn 2. But the Falcon now is weak. Okay, you've got Calrissian on there. He's got a 1. He draws 1 battle to destiny. He's immune to 4, but he's not threatening anybody. Nobody's scared of that. So you have to get somebody down there. If you got Captain Han in your hand, that's great, but a lot of times you won't have him. So you need to reinforce. You're reinforcing with whoever you've got. If you've got Eliak Rue, you're bringing him in. If you've got Wedge, you're bringing him in. And your goal is to get up to 7 ability at the Ral Tier system so that Zuckuss can't hurt you. And now you're a threat. Before you weren't a threat. Once you get to 7 ability, now you're a threat at Ral Tier. Okay? So you lock into Ral Tier, and they're going to start in one of 2 ways. Either 1, they're going to just try to occupy 3 sites really quick and then hope to draw into their ships, or 2, they're going to start just pulling force, trying to find those ships because they know they need to occupy the system and they want to do it all in 1 shot. They want to deploy and deploy to the system in 1 shot and then flip. So again, we're going to reinforce and we're going to protect against that. In the meantime, what you're looking to do as you reinforce is ideally find Luke or Obi-Wan with lightsaber and get ready for a surgical strike on Ral Tier. And the second they come down to Ral Tier and they leave a site somewhat exposed, you're going to attack them, you're going to destroy the force there, and you're going to make it unoccupied again. And force them to, again, spend force to reinforce that, in which case you're going to attack them again, hopefully with another EPP, slice them up with a saber, lose your character so they can't counter beat down you, and continue to kind of chip away. Because Ral Tier doesn't have retrieval. So you're just looking to just start chipping away at them. They're going to have to run out of cards eventually. And you want to prevent them from flipping, okay? If they do flip, this updated version has 2 more tricks in its sleeve. And this was one of the big things that I found as I was playing through is that, if they flip, it's really tough to flip them back. So I can't remember who I stole the idea from, but I saw somebody playing clouds and it fit this deck really well. Okay. You deploy clouds to Raltier. You move one of your ships from Raltier down to the clouds. Now it doesn't matter if you get beat down at Raltier or if they occupy Raltier, because now you're controlling the clouds. And that's a Raltier location, so they cannot flip. Likewise, if they do flip, now you can flip them back by not going to the ground, but by controlling the Raltier system and the Raltier clouds. In an emergency, you have the forest. You convert their forest or deploy it. If they haven't played the forest, even better, because you can play that and now you control a site instantly. But your characters are immune to attrition there. So you can bring down EPP Luke or EPP Obi-Wan, and you can try to hold that site with them. You can actually try to hold it because they're immune to attrition, so it's not as bad. And if you can stop them from flipping, Raltier is going to lose. I'm telling you right now, that deck cannot win without flipping. Other minor changes that you'll see here, I swapped out Leia for Boosh because she just, the Falcon. Here's what happened, Bill. The Falcon destroyed some lives, okay? The Falcon went out there and it crushed some souls. And people are so terrified of my Millennium Falcon that they won't even battle it anymore. I try to force them to battle it, and they just try to avoid. They know what's going to happen now. Like it's been around long enough that people they refuse. They're like, no, I'll take the 3 drain. So I said, well, why am I putting Leia on there when they're not going to battle? Let's get her doing something productive, and she can go down. She can block some drains for you. And it's good to have her as a spy anyway, because if they play Hunt Down and they flip, you can't battle with Leia. So, because she's a Skywalker. So, I like the spy version of her. I think that's a good way to play her. And other than that, you don't see too much difference. There was the buff up of the Rebel barriers. I added them because people weren't battling the Falcon. So now I have to barrier and initiate myself. And Desperate Reach, because that cancels Imperial Barrier. And so now I can do strikes with Obi-Wan, with the Falcon, with whoever, without getting barriered. And one sneaky thing, so the thing was Punch It was just, again, too predictable. So we got rid of Punch It and we added this card Rapid Fire, which is phenomenal. It allows you to deploy a weapon into battle from your reserve deck or your hand. And in addition, it's not a react. You can do it on your battle or their battle. So as long as you know where your X-Wing laser cannon is and it's either in your hand or your reserve, you can pull it out if they attack somebody with an X-Wing, because now you got 3 X-Wings, remember. You've got Red 7, you've got Red 5, and Red Squadron 1. Any of those ships get attacked, you rapid fire, you shoot Zuckuss out of the sky unexpectedly. And again, these are demoralizing actions for dark side decks. They are counting on Zuckuss making an impact, and when you trash him immediately, he's lost. They don't have a way of getting him back. It really limits what they're going to be able to do to combat all these great fighters that you have in space.
Great.
So do you have any questions on the assembly of the deck, or would you like to check out some replays and see the deck in action, and I'll give you my thoughts as how the game unfolded?
Yeah, I think we should definitely do some replays. I guess the only question is obviously the question is, when do you do doubles? So you left, 2 a few maneuvers, 2 on the edge, 2 out of commissions, 2 desperate reaches. Were you finding yourself worried about Monarch, or not ever?
No.
You ever pitch those preliminarily, or how do you handle that kind of thing?
Yeah, so first of all, I don't have a lot of doubles. Again, I do have doubles, but it's not like I have 4 of one card. So the likelihood of getting these doubles is much lower than if I had multiple copies of one card. Okay. But if I do, I'm trying to get rid of them. Yeah. So first of all, you can lose one of them, and that's actually a good thing. So let's say you're playing against somebody and you suspect that they do in fact have an Imperial Barrier. Chuck your duplicate Desperate Reach. You have 2 in your hand. Throw one away. They're going to feel real good about their Imperial Barrier, aren't they? They're going to be like, oh, he was foolish to get rid of that. Now I can stop him. No, you can't. So it's a really nice card to have 2 of. Same thing with Rebel Barrier. They know you have a barrier. You've been saving 1 force every turn. They force drain you, pitch the extra one. You got a backup. Now they come down, bam, rebel barrier, order to engage. You're losing 3 force, and you're getting beat down on the next turn. Congratulations, you played yourself. They're great cards to have doubles of.
Absolutely makes sense. Did you ever experiment doing like right light side route here? You know,
Yeah, like the operatives.
well,
Oh
I
no,
know
you
I know
just
you
mean
played
in
an
the stack.
Opera's version, but actually I meant within the context of the base because the issue is like you mentioned, like Red 7 deploys free, but he's not a spy,
Can't get there.
right? Right. He
Yeah,
can't
he's
get
not a
there
spy.
unless you're already occupying. And so sometimes, and you're right, you do have a couple spies, you do have, Tycho, you do have, Blount.
Blount.
And yes, Farm Boy Luke is great, but he's not a spy either. And so
He's
you
not
ever
a
think
spy.
about, this is a kind of an anti-Ralops, why not like take that, maybe take out, core leg, do a route here, and then maybe able to deploy to that site directly, kind of thing, or
Yeah,
system.
I'll tell you my thought on that is that if it's gotten to the point where I've lost hold of Raltier, I've lost the game already. Like, because that means the Falcon has fallen.
Okay.
Because remember, Falcon's going there turn one every single time I play Ralops. So if Ralops is unoccupied, it means the Falcon's fallen, and I'm probably losing the game anyway.
Okay.
So I don't think having the icon there is going to save me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Then, yeah, sure. Let's go to a game. And the Brad Kipple, that's the best one to start with. You had two you gave me.
It's up to you. We were talking about Ralops, so maybe we want to start with that, and then we'll look at the Kipple game.
Okay. So we'll start with the
All
Carbon
right, so
Leaf
this
game.
is this is a game here played against Carbon Leaf. It just happened today, actually, and I saw Death Star 2 lobby up, and I knew we were going to talk about this, so I said let's go ahead and do this. Um, you'll see here I started Do or Do Not. You know, when he starts the Crush the Rebellion, it tells me he's got a focus on some Vader there, and the Vader Ralops, you know, sometimes they throw in like 1 sense, one altar, or 2 sense, two altar, things like that. And when you're doing the Vader version, I'm not worried about odds as much. I'm terrified of odds. I hate that card. I think it's like the worst card ever invented for this game. But, you know, so Insight, if they give me any indication that their troopers are going to throw odds at me, I will start that one. But Do or Do Not, you know, again, with him starting Crush the Rebellion, I just felt like that he was going to be more lower destiny characters. So I went with Do or Do Not.
Makes sense.
He starts battle plan, you know, he's deploying his sites here again. He's giving me force icons, and we got these 5 force to work with. In this case, you know, it's a curse and a blessing. I got Gold Squadron 1 in hand. It sucks because I want to pull Captain Han with it, but you know, a lot of times you don't have that luxury. So in this case, I said, you know what? I got to turn because, like I mentioned, he's only activating 6 right here. Zuckuss can come down; he can't battle me. So let's go with Wedge, and maybe just maybe I'll have enough force to get Han out, and now come over with Han, bring Calrissian in later. But otherwise, I would be going down with General Calrissian immediately. In any case, like I mentioned, you need to occupy Raltier turn 1. So that's what we're going to do. You'll see him move over, and I'll probably just draw a force here, try to get some more good cards in my hand. Really ideal cards to have in hand: systems. You want to get all your systems out as quickly as possible. Every turn that I go fetch a system, I'm counting the number of systems in my reserve deck, identifying how many are in my force pile, and knowing whether or not I can get them, because that's what I want. If I can get flipped on turn 4 or earlier, a really good shape to win the game. You know, if I can get flipped by turn 5, turn 6, that's pretty solid. Anything past there is trouble, you know?
Makes sense. And you mentioned earlier about keeping your kind of your X-wing laser cannon close to your chest. You only had one, so you opted to deploy this now because you just felt you had such a force advantage, and the only way you
Yep.
want to be able to kill Zuckuss quickly, even if he battles you, kind of thing, and so you weren't worried about it. What you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah, I had this, you know, start with Bothui in there. In my opening hands, I had some extra force to work with, and I just felt like, you know, against Raltier specifically, that you know, controlling routes here is so paramount. It's just so paramount. Any other deck, I would not have deployed it there. And honestly, I almost didn't deploy it this game either. And I said, yeah, but I'll throw it on there.
Okay. All right. So you said, yeah, okay, you moved, you drew a card. Okay. All right. And he's deploying.
So now he throws Fondor out, and now this is, listen, you see that card with this deck, you need to stop execute. He's indicating right here he plans to deploy Executor. He's telling you, I am deploying Executor. Well, if I control Fondor, he cannot deploy Executor. So when you see this, and you'll see it from a lot of deck, mostly ISB, you see them come down, you're going to go to that system immediately. You're going to stop Executor from coming down, because what it's going to do, it's going to force their weaker ships to come and fight you at Fondor. Their dream scenario is they deploy a weak ship, then follow it up with the Executor. But again, that's not going to work against this deck. I encourage it. Go right ahead, and we'll see exactly how that plays out in this game, actually. Okay. So here comes Gold Squadron 1 with Captain Han. Load it up and send it over. Now, what was interesting was at this point, I'm pretty sure we got a peek at his reserve deck, and he had Zuckuss and Mist Hunter in his reserve deck. And I actually thought I was safe here. So now we have the worst case scenario. We are unprepared. As you look at my hand, there's nothing I can do to stop this attack. Zuckuss and Forlom are coming down, and they're going after the Falcon. Okay. So now we're going to have to handle this. We're not drawing any Battle Destiny, and our best ship's exposed here. So now we have to handle a worst case scenario. And we'll see how that plays out. He battles us. He draws 2 Destiny. And the character that you're going to want to lose here is Lando. Okay? 2 reasons. 1, if you retrieve him, you can get him back with strike planning. And 2, Captain Han does more damage with the added Battle Destiny. I'm not worried about the immunity to attrition. Again, people are scared of my Millennium Falcon. They don't want any part of it, and they're going to avoid it. So if Captain Han's on there, I still feel pretty good. The only person that scares me with Captain Han on there is Zuckuss, and he's already out. So whatever happens from here on out, I know where he's located, and I can play around Zuckuss.
And he retreated. He was afraid of you.
Well, and that's exactly it. He's terrified. He knows that, like, what happened. He doesn't know my hand. My hand sucks, right? But what if I have an ability for a person to come down?
Sure.
That Zuckuss is about to get pounded, right? What if I have another ship that I can pull in? But Luke and Red 5, game over. You're gonna take overflow. So this is what I was meaning. Like, I had to remove some of the cards in my deck. I don't run 2 Dark Lighter Spins anymore. I don't run Punch It anymore, because people are so terrified of my Falcon that it's hard to get those cards in action. So again, this game is one of those key things where I show you, you gotta force the action with this type of stuff. So yeah, he runs away, and which is good for me, obviously, and it gives me some more time to start getting my systems out. Typically, I don't like to give out force with Coruscant, but when he took out Lando, I said I really need to put the pressure back on him. You see we drop a Luke. That's great to see. We got Legendary Starfighter now, which is great to see. These are some monster cards. And, again, he's just struggling to figure out, how am I going to flip? Because he doesn't want to come to routes here. I've got the cannons on Red Squadron 1. He knows he needs to occupy that system. He can't deploy Executor yet. We get our Admiral's orders out. That boost deployment stopped the drains at both Bothawi and the docking bay, because Bothawi is -1 for every spy on the table.
Correct.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
So I had Lieutenant Blount out, and now Bosch makes 2 spies, so he doesn't drain there. So that 1 shut down his drain at the docking bay and the system, which was nice. He runs over to Kashyyyk there, again, trying to do something with Zuckuss, but Zuckuss is a target right now, and he knows that. It's only a matter of time before I do get some ships together to take out Zuckuss. You see, we've got a really nice hand. We got a barrier and a desperate reach, so we cover both ends of the stopping battles from happening. He starts drawing up, obviously, again, how am I going to solve this problem? And we're just doing what damage we can. Sometimes 1 turn, we're paying to drain right now. Hey, I'll take it if I can get it, even 1 a turn. Come down with Eliak Rue. Small mistake here. I should have swapped that. I should have brought Wedge into the clouds and left Rue for the +1 to drain, but not too big a deal. And then we spread out because again, what does he have for ships? He's got the Executor. He's got Zuckuss, who's already out. I did see Bosk in his deck and Dengar, so he's got Bosk and Dengar, not really scaring me. Here comes Bosk. Okay, now here's the thing, and now the Executor comes out and bam, Rebel Barrier. Now what do? The Executor can't move. The Executor's staying there, and he says, "I'm going to put much anger on him and force him to fight me," which is just what I want. I want to fight there. So you see, we've got Luke, we've got Spiral, and they're about to put together a classic Falcon beatdown for me. Here comes Luke, Spiral, hit him with the battle. Darklighter spin for an 8 Destiny. And now guess what? He's going to have to lose the Executor. He just worked all this. He searched his deck, found his cards just to get this card out. And guess what? It didn't last a turn. It did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. He forfeits Bosk and Shirno, then realizes that's silly. We revert. Drops the Executor, and then again, the gut punch. Legendary Starfighter is coming down. Now he does get 2 good Destinies here. He knocks out Spiral and I think I chucked Captain Han to fly away with Luke here. And Luke's going to go over to Coruscant and threaten that 5 a turn that I was talking about. 5 a turn from that card. Bam.
So, in hindsight, should you put Legendary Starfighter on Gold Squadron 1 just so that it's just there's no danger, if Luke dies?
Yeah, I thought about that, but here's the thing. So if you look at my hand, I have an On the Edge in my hand. And I intend to get back Captain Han, and I intend to get back Calrissian.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I might throw another pilot on the Falcon. If I do that, Falcon's weak. And if he takes it out, then my Legendary Starfighter's gone. So I decided that, again, looking at the ships he has left, Dengar and Punishing One, and maybe Boba Fett and Slave One. He doesn't have any other ships. What other ships is he gonna be playing? Executor's gone. Zuckuss is on the table. Bosk is on the table. Who's gonna really harm Luke over there? Even if he drops the worst case scenario, which would be both Boba Fett and Dengar, he's destroying my immunity. He's adding 1. He needs to draw a 7 to get Luke plus the 1 from Dengar to kill R2-D2 and Red 5. He's not going to do that. So I'll just pitch Luke, and then Red 5 will sit there.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yep. That was definitely a thought. That there was a pause there, and I had to consider it. And again, this happened today. It's fresh in my memory. That's why it ended up.
Cool.
So he creatively sets for stun me. That was a good move. But the clouds. And you see he forgets. He comes over. He's like, I want to flip. Nope, can't flip. And the clouds have stopped it. So now we flip our objective. We're draining for 3 at Coruscant. We've got tons of activation. So even though I'm paying 3, I'm going to start pinging him everywhere I can. Hitting him for 1, hitting him for 1. And again, with Ral Tier Ops, he has no way of getting these cards back. No way. So their wedge goes onto the Falcon. As I was mentioning, another pilot. Wasn't expecting it to be wedge, but when he gets set for stun, kind of forced my hand. He probes base.
So maybe a question. Oh, you can't deploy him here because you don't have an icon. So that's
I don't have an icon. Yeah. Now, if I used your method and I had the Ral Tier system, I could have put him on there.
Yeah. All right.
Funny you mentioned that today. But yeah, so I just threw him on the Falcon. He draws a Destiny there, and my idea was to get Tycho, because again, he draws a Destiny on a Starfighter, or on an X-wing. So Tycho would go in and cause some damage there. And if you'll notice now, we're turn 5, turn 6, something like that. They haven't flipped. And this is disaster for Ralops. They want to be flipped turn 2. Now we on the edge, draw my 7, get most of my force back here. We didn't get down to Lando, unfortunately, but I mean, at this point, where's his win? Now this game's over. This game's already over. It's just the mop up portion now. We move wedge over. We're doing a drain of 5. Legendary Starfighter for 2. That's 7, not counting anything else I might throw on the table here. You can see my boy Obi-Wan. He's preparing. He's getting ready to do his thing down there. Although you'll see he's a bit of an old fool in this game, but he comes down. We try to swing. We miss. But we do have a 6 tracked for our Battle Destiny, which was good. Unfortunately, the cadets cover a lot of attrition, but it helps to keep your power up so you don't get overflowed or take damage.
Yeah,
We dropped the Baragwin. I could have dropped Leia here too, kept the Baragwin for retrieval, but I just kind of felt like, no, make it impossible for him to control that site. We spread out. So again, now he's going to do some damage here. He's satisfying battle plans, so he's not paying to drain, but it doesn't even matter. I lose 5. The game's over though, but the game's already over. And it just shows how this deck can just shut down Ral Ops at times. Now that's not going to happen every time. People are going to fight back. There's good players out there. I don't want to just. I'm not saying this is a cure-all for Ral Ops, but this is the game plan. And if you can execute this game plan where you get to Ral Ops early, you stop them from the turn 2 flip, and you get the clouds ready so that if they ever do flip, you can flip them back quickly. You're going to be in the game. You're going to have chances. And if they don't have secret plans to stop your retrieval, they're going to lose. You start getting those edges going, you start getting the Baragwins going, and their damage is useless. So now we're just going to beat down little by little every single site. Obi goes away, but, we're taking out all of his people. Raltier only has Vader on it now. I'm still set up for the drain of 5. Still set up for the Legendary Starfighter ping of 2. Now we're just going to beat the crap out of Bosk here.
Yep.
And I missed track of Destiny here like a clown, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I didn't even need to play this on the edge, but I did because I figured why not.
Might as well.
Yeah, you might as well. But yeah, I blundered it. I forgot that I had moved from Endor to Kessel with Tala 2, and so he gives a flip here. He goes all out to flip, but again, he's got 2 life force left. There's nothing here to be done. We drain him. We battle here. We take out Bosk. He does get a high destiny and take out Luke, but again, the ping remains. The ping remains, and it will do him in on his next turn, and that's all she wrote. And that's that's a very I picked this game because it is very we played it, and I was like, wow, this is a classic SuperFalcon game. They always try to pick a fight with Falcon eventually, and it never ever ends well. You've seen it many times, Bill.
Yes. No, I've got a few games, and I have felt the sting of the SuperFalcon, and it's fun to be on the SuperFalcon side. It does catch a lot of people by the surprise. There's no doubt.
Yeah. You played it in the match play, right? You did a Mind What You Have Learned SuperFalcon, I think, right?
I did. I mean, it was kind of a SuperFalcon. Yeah, I did do Han's Toolkit, and I was expecting a certain type of deck that COTVG would play. He did not play that certain type of deck. But no, I mean it worked well. Yes, I used a beggar combo in mine kind of thing. I used 2 of those beggars, kind of copying what a little bit of what N Rabbit likes to do. N Rabbit loves 2 Obi-Wan's huts and 2 beggars. He's done that a couple of times. So I just kind of combined a couple ideas. Yes, it's it can be obnoxious. Yes.
I think that with Draw Their Fire is really the toughest thing to handle is Dark Side.
I agree with you. Okay, so that was a good example. So we can go over this hunt down deck. So I know, yeah, in Andy's tournament, you faced against Brad with his hunt down deck against your kind of an EVO version of your hidden base deck, and you kind of lost with that version. But back in the Retro League, you faced against Brad Kipple, and it seems you're a little bit more prepared with your hidden base version against, and he played his hunt down deck again.
Yeah, the thing was is that what happened with Kipple in the match play is that the first game went so poorly that I was in a really bad spot coming into the second game. And I had to ask myself which game can possibly jump on him early and win big. And so I said, you know what? I'll go EBO because if I could get everything out turn one, turn two, and just really crush it right at the beginning, maybe I can make a run at this huge life force difference. But the hidden base deck is better. The hidden base deck is a better platform, in my opinion, and it's more reliable. EBO, you have to get the cards. You have to get the cards in hand to get EBO out, and if you don't, you're in trouble. So this one's more reliable. And starting this game off, really not a good hand to have here. If you look at the early hand, it's pretty bad. The only good thing is I got an out of commission, so if he happens to top deck a Vader to Visage or something, I can possibly get rid of Vader immediately. And I do, in fact, have a do or do not, which is very useful against Hunt Down. But the thing about Hunt Down is you got to be prepared for numbers and you got to be prepared for Visage pings. So I like to start Insight against them. So we start out with Insight here, and I can't remember entirely how this game goes. It is a very close game, but we'll kind of see how it plays out and what I remember.
Correct. No, and just for reference, I mean, you actually end up out of commissioning his Vader in your EBO game. Now
I know, right? Yeah,
he
turn one, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah, turn one. I got
you,
him, and I still managed to lose. It was devastating. One of the worst experiences in a two-game set I've ever had. I mean, oh man, if I was an angry person, I would be throwing things.
it was still cool that you're able to do it, even if you end up losing. But no, I mean the fact that you have two out of commissions is not a bad thing versus Hunt Down at all. So
Yeah. You see, and it could be worse in there. Something I put in, I guess, just for Brad. Not standard in my decks. I can't remember the exact reason that I put it in, um, but it's a useful card in hidden base because security precautions can really hit you hard. So as you see here, a real influx immediately. Here comes Obi, right? Again, this deck runs really big destinies. So when they have a Vader or a Palpatine, I'm not afraid to go after them because I feel very confident in my saber swings and just want to put the pressure on them. So, I encourage if you're playing these high destinies, go fight. Go fight. Well, that was pretty lousy destiny. Obi, you suck.
yeah, but I mean you had a chance, right? You're trying to force a Vader to lose. So,
Exactly. Exactly. So we lose an Obi. And again, things are going poorly, but this is a resilient deck. He sets up, he's got his drain now, he's not taking damage, and we're the one that's on our heels. And so we're drawing up, we're trying to find. So now we got a good card. We've got the forest, which allows me to get Obi. So, you know, and this is where I usually see a monarch. Okay. They usually use it used version versus me.
yeah,
Because again, this is not hidden base X Wings, right? They're not expecting me to have a lot of doubles in my hand anyway. So, going back to our conversations about those duplicates, I just don't fear them. And you can see they would have gotten at least two a few maneuvers, but and and once again, I mean, this hand is just terrible. This hand is just terrible. And he's got everything. He's coming down with Mara, he's coming down with Vader. And at this point, I don't remember it exactly, but I was probably like, here we go again. Like everything that could go wrong is going wrong against Kipple. He's one of those players that, he's on point. He knows what to do. He executes his deck well. But we do finally get some damage going by getting our Calrissian out and over to Endor so that we can cause him something, right? We're doing something now.
right.
And I think, did I put a Baragwin on there? What's on there with him?
I mean, yeah, yeah, you have Cal Risen, you have Captain
Oh, I
Han right now.
Captain Han. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yep.
And maybe you can point out, although he would deploy the same amount to Rendezvous Point versus Endor, and you are not deploying to Endor, so you are being cautious, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was being cautious. You never know what can happen. If something weird happens where he barriers me immediately and he's like trying to set something up, it's good to have the safety of Rendezvous Point there. And I move over for free. So worst case scenario, I lose a turn of drain of one. Not a big deal, and like you said, it's a little cautious.
Yeah. But I mean, wouldn't you say in most games, like if you're not playing as Rel Ops, you don't have this timer. Aren't in most games you're going to rendezvous point and you're getting a whole stack of matching ships and pilots, and then you're moving over. When you have more um, systems out.
It depends on the deck, and it depends on the likelihood of them having a competent space package.
Okay.
If I'm facing ISB, yeah, I'm not going into space willy nilly with a couple of ships. If I'm facing a deck that I expect that they don't have a robust space package, then I'm going to push the edge and I'm going to go quickly.
Okay.
You'll note here that I did not deploy Coruscant or Kessel. Again, they're giving so many icons to the dark side. I like to hold on to them, and then when I'm ready to flip, I deploy them all at once.
And in this case, you lost your 2 7s immediately. Like you didn't hold on to these. So and you didn't have a Baragwin in your hand. Did you not want to keep those 7s in your hand and then hope to draw Baragwin and get them back? So like why immediately first thing 7s?
So the question would be, what cards would you rather lose instead? Because what you don't want to do is top deck here. You don't want to top deck something important, right?
Okay.
And those cards are throwaway. Now, the Baragwins are great. Not only do they retrieve, okay, they can pull from your lost pile during your control phase. So you could trade a card in hand for a weapon or device in your lost pile. So these cards I can always get back later if I need them with a Baragwin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can use the secondary effect and exchange a card back into hand, and then you could, do the
Yep.
top decking method. That's a good point. I forgot about that, but excellent point.
And, he just continues to do some damage here. He gets the Executor out. Boba Fett on Kifix, looking strong. We try to block his drains. We're working on getting flipped here and setting up a drain of ourselves. So now we got Kessel, and that's a drain of 3 once we flip. So that's a big deal. We're gonna flip ourselves, and we're gonna cancel all his force drains. So now, instead of the onus being on me, now I'm saying to him, prove it, right? So
Now, is
here
there
we got.
just a quick question? You had, could be worse. You took a
Yep.
damage anyway. Is that just
Yeah.
because you're worried about security precautions, which he has? So you're saving that because at
Yep.
some point he'll probably flip you, right?
Yep.
Or he'll
Yep.
do that. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And I need that in my. I want to protect myself. I've lost so much force already this game that I can't take an 8 or a 7. That's going to devastate me.
Got it.
So what can I do? I need to save that card.
Got it.
Here comes Zuckus. We barrier it.
Okay. So you're taking 4 instead of 8. So that's better than what it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, to his credit, Kipple, coming down. What was that? His first probe, second probe.
Yeah.
Again. So now here we come. All right. Now we're saying, all right, you've had your fun, Brad. Let me get my deck rolling and get its engine working. Okay. You can see that Zuckus is extremely exposed right now. Extremely exposed. We're gonna flip him back with Luke down at the forest. Now he's getting his ping from Vader. Eliak Rue coming down, and we're going to put the hurt on Mr. Zuckus here. So 6 to power, and then another 6 for Battle Destiny. And we're just going to hurt him a bit. And now the game's changed.
Yeah. Yeah, he has 15 and 16 lost pile versus your 11. So yeah, he's behind again after your retrieval.
Yep.
He's gonna put his Vader. He's gonna take his Vader to hand to try to counteract Luke a turn later.
To go to Luke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, to go to Luke. So now we got to figure out how to get Luke safe. Falcon coming over to fight Boba Fett. And we leave Luke by himself. We say, Luke, good luck, sir. We didn't have anything to back him up. And, again, not worried about Monarch. We're just picking up our cards.
And so why are you pitching your Luke with Saber? You feel like the game you're going to beat him in space before you want to, like, because he could deploy his Vader here, fight and kill your Luke, and then you could redeploy Vader, Luke back here. You could play like whack-a-mole, but that wasn't important to you, or you just have
I don't remember
Obi.
exactly what was going on at the time, but I did have an Obi in hand. Okay, number one, I did have an Obi in hand to back him up, or, to combat Vader, and yeah, I don't remember exactly that key decision point of why Luke with Saber was my Chuck, but looking at the other cards in my hand, I'm a little bit surprised. At this point, with Zuckuss gone,
Okay.
Rapid Fire is a candidate for throwing away.
Okay.
And I have 2 Destiny 7 cards in my hand that I could have thrown, so I don't know why I chose Luke.
I mean, you're down to 4 force. I mean, your hand is huge, right? So I guess you couldn't
Oh, I only
deploy.
have 4. See, it's very small for me here. So that explains. So I only have 4 force. I'm really not deploying Luke anyway.
Okay. He's gonna battle Luke, do a little damage. You're chucking your 7 in your hand, and he's gonna hit
Oh,
Luke.
wait, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna on the edge Luke.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So he
I'm gonna
decided to
fail I'm gonna
choke you.
fail with that, right?
Yeah, he decided to choke you. I'm not sure that was actually the best choice because if I was Brad, I would want like to do overflow. But if he
Yeah,
didn't do
you would
that, you
think,
could
yeah.
have
I mean, yeah, and I was gonna protect the overflow with on the edge, but yeah, he that's a bizarre play. Maybe he was worried about losing Vader to my high destinies.
maybe. That's possible.
Yep, so now we're gonna retrieve again. Now here, I made a silly mistake. For some reason, I thought Tycho came down cheaper. Brad could have said no to the revert. I wouldn't have blamed him. I think it was obvious that I thought that he came cheaper, but that's on me, But he gave me the revert there, and so we battled Boba Fett here, and power pivot.
Mhm.
You'll notice that the intruder missile also goes on Tala 2.
It's true, and yeah, it's one of these weird things. Like, why in the world would it go on a Z95? But okay, it does. All right. Okay. Yeah.
And so, here it goes. Overflow. Boom. Again, legendary starfighter coming down. Wish it was on the Falcon, but it's a devastating card. We're gonna retrieve. And we're gonna pull rabbit out of our hat here. Again, you mentioned I was down to 3, 4 force, whatever it was down there. Things were looking grim. This game, honestly, was one of those games where everything went wrong. And retrieval and resilience of the Falcon.
Yeah. No, he didn't
And
have
so now
secret.
he
Yeah, he
just
didn't have secret plans out, so you're able to retrieve a few times. With a low force, so that helped a ton.
yep. Yeah, he has secret plans, I lose.
Yeah.
So now we just block everything
Okay, there's the secret
and we finish
plans.
the
Yep.
game. Yeah. So it was an interesting game. Again, a lot of things went wrong during the game. I'm sure things went wrong for Brad too, though. I'm sure he didn't draw the secret plans, things like that. But I was able to defeat him and later defeat Patrick and somehow win the win the league. It was wild.
Agreed. Agreed. But it was pretty cool, and no, and it's a testament to you. You just tinkering and improving, and it was cool to see those other games. So of course there's uploads of those already. So
Yeah, and I hope that people got what they wanted to see here. I know that SuperFalcon has been the topic of some discussions, and I know that the toolkit was topic of some discussions and things like that. And hopefully people enjoy hearing about how it came about and how I like to play it. It's a fun deck, and I encourage you. If you haven't tried SuperFalcon, um, give it a whirl because it's very enjoyable to take out the executor, especially when your opponent has it well stocked up. And It's a fun deck to play, and it's again with its high destinies, it's going to keep you happy. You're not going to be pounding your head in the wall like, oh, every time I play this deck, things go wrong. It pulls its systems, it pulls its ships and pilots. Like it's very consistent. It's not a deck that has wild swings this way and that.
Great, agreed. No, it is fun to play, and there's multiple ways to kind of play Super Falcon, but I really like your version and just that kind of its flexibility and just the high destinies are like you said earlier, just a ton of fun to play with, and the high destinies sync with on the edge and Obi at a site, or I guess Luke too, and it's just fun and it's nice to use.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so should we talk about your classic Novi Dark Side deck?
Sure, if you'd like to. Yeah.
I think so. I think it'd be fun. So this
Yeah.
is your.
So
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, so you started this idea. So how do you come up with this idea for kind of these scythe ties and your interceptor ties in this TTO package? How did this kind of start out?
Yeah. So Classic No V came out, and I've never played that format before. So they made a league last month, and I said I'm going to dive into this and try to get as many games as possible in order to prepare for the Retro League.
Yep.
And got my butt kicked a bunch. There's a lot of interesting cards out there that make decks that were previously very like mid-range pretty good, actually. But obviously, there is some very prominent decks. And the three prominent decks are Watch Your Step, Throne Room Mains with Anger, Fear, Aggression, and Quiet Mining Colony. Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of glaze over Quiet Mining Colony just a little bit because out of those three, I find that one the least scary. It's got some good things, but I just feel like it's very beatable.
Okay.
Run Remains comes in hard with those Anger, Fear, Aggressions, comes in hard with Home 1, and is very difficult to play against because it's a deck that doesn't do anything until you do. It lets you make the first move and then it attacks. So it's kind of tough to deal with.
Yeah.
And Watch Your Step is a deck that is very difficult to handle because of the nature of its massive destiny draws and its ability to fight on both ground and space at the same time. So when I was playing, I was getting beat up by some things. Number one, Anger, Fear, Aggression was crushing me. And number two, Beggar was just an absolute monster. Absolute monster, Bill. This card is, they're starting Draw Your Fire, and they're putting down a Beggar, and you have to find a way to avoid that beatdown or you lose the game. So I was like, man, and I tried some different decks, and I tried fighting on the ground, and I was always losing. I was always losing on the ground. Mm-hmm. And then while I was losing on the ground, they just stick something at Kessel, either Home 1 or their smugglers, and they start pounding you for 3. Brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
So I said, how am I going to deal with this? I need to deal with two things. One, not get beat down, and two, I need to win in space because I'm not going to win on the ground. I need to win in space.
Right.
If they got all these destinies. They draw 3. They draw 4 destinies. I mean, what do you even do? Because again, we saw it with the SuperFalcon. You lose the Executor. Now what? Right?
Yeah.
So I said, how can I hit them hard and fast in space? And I looked at this TTO option, this That Thing's Operational, and I put together this deck. Obviously, one of the things with That Thing's Operational is they have the ability to blow up the Death Star too. Okay. They send in a pilot with their ship and they try to blow it away. And if they blow it away, you lose like 24 force, so it's game over. So you have to protect against that. And how would you do that? Well, I said I need starships with weapons to shoot them down. So you've got the Scythe Squadron, which allow you to shoot during your move phase. It's completely broken. It's overpowered. It's insane. And you've got these Saber Squadron members, and they have the TIE cannons. And the idea is that Watch Your Step doesn't have spies, so they have to move to the Death Star so the cannons can shoot the ships before they can enter the Death Star. And if, God forbid, they get in the Death Star, you have to send the Scythe Squadron against them. So, so if you look at how those two decks play, okay, you have to play your game a bit different for each one.
Mhm.
When Watch Your Step plays, they're going to immediately start deploying starfighters all the time. And just drop them at Tatooine. Just turn one, boom, either Mirax or Dash is coming down. Pretty much every game. Sometimes it's Wedge, but I mean, somebody's coming down to Tatooine every single game.
Right.
And so the idea is what if I shoot them out of the sky turn one or turn two, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So they deploy them. I come down before they have enough force for the barrier, and I put my cannons on there and I shoot them, or I get Saber One with Baron Fell, and he adds a Battle Destiny, so I can crack their immunity really easy with Baron plus another member. So I was putting this out there, and it was working well against Watch Your Step because Gerard would go to the bunker and they don't have spies, so he was safe there. But against Throne Room Mains, every single game I was sitting there like, how do I protect this dude? Now I was doing it slightly wrong. I think you got to run Death Star docking bay and put Gerard there where the spies can't go to. But even then, they can still move over or whatever. And I was just like, I've got 10 cards down just for that thing's operational. Gerard's a liability the whole game. What can I do to keep the good things about this deck, the shooting the fighters out of the sky, while mitigating these issues of I'm running out of cards and Gerard's a liability? So I put my head together and I said, how do I stop Beggar? Well, I already know because I play Brangus Glee in Death Star 2 format. And I do that because at Set Your Course for Alderaan, when you have battles at the Death Star, you don't take any battle damage. So I said, well, what if I use that to have my one ground site that I need to occupy for battle plan? And I put, like, say, the Emperor there. He's immune to attrition, so they have to hit him with Saber. They only got one guy who can Saber, that's Luke. Everybody else, Han's got a blaster maybe, but that's not going to hit the Emperor. Okay? So what if that's my one site. I don't fight them anywhere else. I let them have everything else on the ground, which to them is just the cantina and 2 docking bays, remember? And I take space. And I win space. I am going to win space with this deck or I lose. I have to win space. So my goal is to shoot everyone down as fast as I can. They come out, they get shot down. They come out, they get shot down. And I don't let them breathe. And they've got, typically, if their throne remains 2 ships, they'll have Home One in the Falcon. And if they are Watch Your Step, they'll have about 5 ships. They'll have Outrider, Pulsar Skate, Red Squadron 1, Theron Nets X-Wing, and the Falcon. So 5.
Yeah.
So every game in my head, I have to get rid of 5 ships. Really, I have to get rid of 4 ships because that last ship ain't doing anything. At that point, they're not even deploying it because they know what's going to happen if they do. So I got to get rid of 3 or 4 ships. As soon as I can get rid of them, that's 1 down, and that's my counter. So that's my win criteria. We have some other things that are going to help us along the way, but that is the general scheme of it. And if you would flip over to the new deck, because that's more relevant to talk about. It's good to know this came from TTO, but this is the new deck, and I'm really, really happy with where this deck is at. So if you'll look, it's got the Set Your Course for Alderaan setup. The Death Star War Room, I might take it out. I don't know because it's a liability, right? They can move there, they can drain for 2. Now I have some ways to mitigate that, but it is a little bit of a liability. That being said, if I put Palpatine there, he's pretty resilient, and again, he's not taking any battle damage, so I could kind of park him there if I need. And then it's got some systems. It's got no sites. The systems that I chose were Endor, Kashyyyk, and Sullust. They're to drain at. You'll notice that the parsecs are all close together. That's because my ships don't have hyperdrives except for the dreadnoughts. The dreadnoughts have hyperdrive of 3. So I need parsecs close together. So those are my 3 drain systems. Each of them drain for 2. And my idea is by the end of the game, I'm holding all three of them. I usually win if I can hold two of them. And then you have Tatooine. Oh my God, Tatooine. Tatooine is this deck. It's the craziest thing. I park at Tatooine because if you look at Watch Your Step, they're going to try to counter me because they can't come to space by going to the ground on Tatooine. So I need to hold that system. Some of them will run Tatooine Celebration. They can't do that if I hold Tatooine. Okay. And because I have all these starfighters, there's at times I'll have 3 or 4 ships piled up at Tatooine. That's +4 to my power in all battles at Tatooine, right? That's not nothing. That's pretty important. So if I want to send Vader with Saber on an attack, like I send Obi-Wan with Saber on my light side deck, he's coming in power +4 because of Tatooine's game text. So you say, well, Matt, Watch Your Step's going to deploy Tatooine. Yes, it is. And Watch Your Step doesn't generate a lot of force. So if I convert their Tatooine, that's one less icon that they have. And if they play Throne Room mains, they're going to play Tatooine Docking Bay because of the Beggar. And they will not play Tatooine System. So to do some of the things that I'm going to describe, I need to supply my own Tatooine in those cases. So Tatooine's there, and the final system is Wakiyamuli, or however you say it, and that's to deploy my Sinar fleet systems. So then you got this contingent here. You've got the ships. So we've got the bounty hunter ships, Dengar and Zuckuss. They're a team. Okay. They are my emergency, like somebody deployed to the Death Star somewhere that my ship, because remember, my ships are all at high parsecs, 7, 6, 8, right? Things like that. Zuckuss and Dengar can go in and take out issues that arise at the Death Star if I need them to. Okay. I typically try not to deploy them unless I really don't have any other choice, or again, I'm executing an attack with them, because that's 11 force. That's a lot of force compared to my other ships, which get down very cheap. We've got 3 dreadnoughts, carry the ties around. We've got Saber 1, Saber 3, and Saber 4. I do not have Saber 2 in here. I just didn't find enough room. It's all right, but it's not just like a groundbreaking. The other ones have better abilities. So Saber 3 deploys for 1, and its pilot deploys for 1. Very cheap to get down. Saber 4 deploys as a react, and as a react for free if a Saber Squadron member's there. And that's a key to this deck, because you're going to hold that in your hand, then bait them just as I bait with the Falcon. I'll bait with a tie, Saber 1 or Saber 3, and then Saber 4 will come to back them up. And then you have 2 regular interceptors, which are very, very good because of the fact they can fire a weapon twice during battle. They come down for 2 force, very cheap. The cannons deploy free, and you're off and firing at their ships. And then we have the Scythe Boys. Wait, where are they? Why am I not seeing?
You just have
I just
one
got
here.
one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got the one. So we got Scythe 1 because he is a monster with Miranda. We'll talk more about him. And this new edition that I made is Simtar 1, or I'm sorry, Simtar 2. We'll talk about that one. But that's the contingent of ships that we have. All the ships that have a matching pilot obviously have that matching pilot. And then for characters, we have Arisa, undercover spy, goes down, just blocks some drains at the cantina or wherever until you get fully set up. You've got 2 Vader with Saber. They are for surgical assaults where they have weak forces. We talked about Palpatine. Palpatine belongs either at the docking bay or the Death Star war room. And then the only other oddball is Janice for tracking cards. We had a talk and you were like, surprised no Janice. I was like, yeah, I probably should put him in just to track a little better. And then we have 2 Majerics, one Majeric to pull systems if needed. Okay.
Yeah.
So the game plan with this is to get your ties out, to get some weapons on them, to make them very scary looking, and to hold some back in your hand to assault them when they run away from your existing ties. Okay. Now again, watch your step. You have 5 ships to kill versus Throne Room mains. You have 1 ship that you need to kill, and that's your goal. Those are your win criterias. You're going to start combat response, obviously, to pull your ships. And just so you know, Bill, your video is like frozen,
Okay.
frozen mid yawn.
Sorry. Sorry. But
You're
the people won't see it. They're just seeing my screen. So all good.
okay. Um, and we've got Imperial Arrest Orders, secret plans, stop their retrieval if they have any. And we got Insight serves you well, mobilization points. Just get a little extra activation if you can get the Emperor down to the docking bay over there. And you'll start those 3 every single game. Those are the 3 starters.
Okay.
For an interrupt package, you've got Controller Set for Stun. This card works in conjunction with Unsalvageable. Okay. Again, we're trying to get rid of 5 ships. Well, if Mirax is on the Pulsar Skate, she's got ability 2. You Control Set for Stun her. She goes into their hand. You unsalvageable the Pulsar Skate, and now you're down to 4. Similarly, you can do it to Dash. You can do it to somebody piloting the Falcon. But your idea is you Control Set for Stun, you unsalvageable, and their ship goes away. And again, that's 1 ship down. And it's great because even if they still have that pilot, well, that pilot's not a matching pilot anymore. So they're not as effective. You've got 1 flawless marksmanship. You can boost that to 2. Heck, you can boost that to 3. That's a great card for this deck. It allows you to add either 2 or 4 to your weapon destiny, depending if you want to use it used or lost. And ideally, you should know, hopefully, what your chances are of getting it. This deck has a lot of cards that allow you to peek at your reserve deck, so you can kind of take a look, know what your chances are of hitting any particular ship. We've got, if you can move the mouse, there we go. Watch Your Back, I think it is. Is that what, what's that next one?
Well,
I can't shake it. Okay.
Yeah.
So this card is cool, does 2 things. 1, you can pull a weapon from your reserve deck, which is critical. And if your weapons are already deployed, hey, add a battle destiny after firing a weapon, and it's a used 5, so that's really nice. You've got here 2 Imperial Artillery. Great card. First of all, you can hit them with some ping damage, but it's a Destiny 7 used. So this is your tracking, right? You put this in, you use it during your control phase, and next turn, you're ready to shoot something down. We've got Overload, critical card. We'll talk about that a little bit. You know, I had 2 decks that beat me. This deck is actually only has 1 loss ever. I think it's like something like 11-1, 12-1, or something like that. The 1 loss that it had was against Rebel Strike Team, where I just wasn't really ready for this new effect that allows them to retrieve 8, me lose 8, and then dump my hand. I still almost won the game, but I said, well, what can I do against this deck? One of the things you can do is you can overload their explosive charges. Okay, so they have to put explosive charges on the bunker. If you have an overload, you can explode it. Back when this was a TTO deck, I played Feldman, Dr. Torch, and he was running this deck with Red Squadron X-Wings, Gold Squadron Y-Wings, and a whole host of X-Wing laser cannons. He shot all my Saber Squadron in like 1 battle and like just dead. I was just dead. And I just like had to instant resign the game. He was like, "Why'd you resign?" I'm like, "You killed everybody. I literally left. You win." So I realized I needed a little protection against those 2 types of decks. Both are pretty uncommon, but again, I don't want an auto loss just because somebody picks a deck. So those were a little bit of protection. You can blow up the X-Wing laser cannon. If you're really creative, you can lose a system and then retrieve it with Signar Fleet Systems to set up a 0. Now that I got Janice in there, Janice can set up a 0, and you can blow up whatever ship is carrying the X-Wing laser cannon as well, which is nice. But Overload's just a really nice versatile card against weapons. It also can kill EPPs. So if, you know, Luke with lightsaber is giving you trouble in a Watch Your Step deck, you can get them. If Luke with Jedi Knight with saber is walking around, you can overload him if you can track that 0. Obi-Wan with saber. So it's really nice to have. Then I've got not 1, not 2, but 3 projected telepathies. Oh my God, I'm so sick of getting hit with Anger, Fear, Aggression, Bill. It's just brutal. It's a vicious card. It hits so hard, and it really ruins games. So when you're playing against these guys that run Anger, Fear, Aggression, they're also running grabbers. They're going to immediately grab your telepathy, and if you only have 1 or 2 of them, they're not going to do you any good. So I went with 3. It's a lot, I know, but I don't care. I can't lose the anger, fear, aggression. It's just like I'm not going to insta loss to it.
Okay.
Um, we've got Relentless Pursuit. If all else fails against home 1, you play Relentless Pursuit. You make it power 0, just like we did with the Executor and the other deck, and home 1's going to go away. And last interrupt, great card, underused card, Tarkin's Orders. This is phenomenal. First of all, cancels Hyper Escape. Watcher Step runs Hyper Escape. Sometimes Throne Remains runs Hyper Escape. This stops them and causes battle damage loss. It can cause a ship to be lost from a cannon. You trap them. In addition, it cancels It Could Be Worse. Again, a very popular card. Really great to be able to cancel. And remember, I talked about sitting at Tatooine. It also is a used interrupt, canceling drains on Tatooine. So it is extremely effective against Watcher Step. You put that in, and in an emergency, if they got to the Death Star, they cleared you out, and they're draining at the War Room, you can slap something down at the Death Star and play Tarkin's Orders to cancel that drain at the War Room as well.
True.
Really nice card. Really nice card. So I think that's all the cards in the deck and why they're in there. Oh, the Admiral's Order. It's got an Admiral's Order in there. It's a really nice one for weapons. It allows you to redraw a weapon destiny once per turn. And if you fire a starship weapon in battle, your starfighters are power +3, and that stacks. So the interceptor we mentioned fires twice in battle. If it fires twice, it's gonna be power +6 in that particular battle. It can be very, very effective. And honestly, I sent interceptors in on their own against things like the Outrider. I sent them on their own against things like the Falcon. Again, if you know what your destinies are, and you should, because you have so many cards that can look into your reserve, and you know that you can shoot these down, you got flawless marksmanship. That simple tie interceptor with a cannon on it can take out multiple ships. It can take out two powerful ships in one battle by itself. It's amazing.
Great.
So, and I'm sorry, last thing we forgot to talk about, Scimitar 2. Scimitar 2 is a cool card. It is a TIE bomber. You'll notice I have 2 Captain Jonases, not 2 Scimitar 2s. Okay, 2 Captain Jonases, and we have 1 proton bombs. So the thing is that the text, and why do I have multiple copies of Jonas? I want to get this in hand. I need to get it in hand, and I only need 1 Jonas or 1 Scimitar 2 because I can pull the other with combat response. Okay, so as I'm looking at it, right, I want to get those into hand, and I needed to add a 3rd card just to make it a little more convenient. Why do I want to get them in hand? Well, the first thing is against one of those decks I told you gave me a problem, which is the Rebel Strike Team. If Rebel Strike Team comes down, they go to the bunker. The bunker is an interior Endor site. They've deployed the Endor system. I could put Scimitar 2 at the Endor system. Scimitar 2 will pull the proton bombs. And if I drain at the Endor system with proton bombs, I can try and collapse a site. I need to draw above a 5. It's a little tricky. You do got to get above 5 flawless marksmanship. Targets a starship, so I can't use that to increase the weapon destiny. So I do got to pull a natural 5, but I can collapse the bunker. What will that do? It will eliminate any characters they have there, and it will eliminate any grenades that they have already on there. They will all be lost. So they will have to remove there, and they will have to redeploy their explosive charges in order to blow up the bunker. They still can. They still can blow the bunker even though it's collapsed, but they will have to redeploy. So that's going to slow them down quite a bit. And that's really what I'm looking for there, is to, kill some key characters, possibly slow them down. If I can delay them 2-3 turns, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, if they're not playing that and they're playing the normal decks of either Throne Remains or Watcher Step, this can destroy their sites. If they want to set up at Tatooine Docking Bay 94, that's interior. It's interior-exterior combo. It can be collapsed with bombing. And so if they have their Obi-Wan there, if they have their Luke there, and I bomb it, those cards are lost. Watcher Step goes to the Cantina. It is an interior site. They go to Docking Bay 94, interior site. We can bomb those sites, and now they can't drain there because they don't have any more force icons once they're collapsed. So you take their key site away. Again, We've shut them out of space, and now they have the 2 docking bays and the cantina to drain you at, plus my Death Star sites. So you start collapsing them, boom, boom, and now they only have the spaceport docking bay, which you can't collapse, it's exterior only, and they've got Death Star, which again, if I really need to, I can find a way to drive the Death Star in range of a dreadnought, move Scimitar over, and collapse the war room. I mean, I could do that too. So I wanted to get them in hand, so I included a little extra. Why did I choose 2 Jonases over the tie? Well, because Sinar Fleet Systems allows you to put 1 tie loss per turn into your used pile. So if I have 2 Jonases, and I lose that tie, the tie goes to the used pile, and I have a second Jonas that I can redeploy because again, combat response will allow me to pull it if I have the pilot. And I figured that's a better because if I have 2 of the ship, I can't send Jonas to my used pile and re-get him. So it made more sense use 2 Jonases and 1 Scimitar.
That makes sense. Now I got you. Yes, as long as you have CNR out and you didn't lose one already. But yeah, makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, the other good thing about Scimitar and Jonas is he covers all battle damage and attrition. So, we talked about the beggar combo. He considered a system by himself. He can't be harmed as long as he's on his ship. They can come down with all their might, and it doesn't matter. I'm not taking any battle damage if he's there. So he's a really great card in this format.
I agree, and that was actually something I was worried about when I was playing Brad Kipple's, TRM deck in PDS2. That's one reason why I wanted Captain Jonas, just because if I did get, you know, Beggar, Draw Their Fire, Gank, then I wouldn't have overflow. So I agree with you there.
Yep. So, any questions about this deck's construction and composition, or do you want to take a look at a couple games for this one?
Yeah, I want to take a couple of games, but I do have a couple of questions. So obviously there is, Rebels won't escape us.
Mhm.
So the only thing I like about this more is just because they do cancel like the landing claw, right? That kind of stuff. So I like
Right.
the flexibility of this stuff. Also, this is a GIC. I'm guessing you were expecting Beggar Drother Fire, that therefore the kind of the GIC proportion wouldn't be useful. Were you not
100%.
worried about landing claw on one of your dreadnoughts, or what did you feel about that?
I'm not. So, I've encountered the landing claw, and it's not scary. And let me tell you why. Because what's going to happen is that I'm going to move that dreadnought, and I'm going to move it to Wakilmui. I'm going to move it to Alderaan. I'm going to move it to somewhere where it's not going to matter. And you're going to have to detach, and then I'm going to shoot you.
And can you shoot with Scythe one if there's a landing claw, or is that not
No, they have
possible?
to detach. They have to detach to shoot them. But
Okay,
again, so I'm just going to say either you sit on my dreadnought at a system where I'm not draining anyway, or I shoot you. Your choice.
okay.
Yeah. And as far as the other features of those rebels, I have 2 cards which cancel hyper escape, and that is unsalvageable and Tarkin's orders. It does cancel react. That's kind of nice. But you know, it is what it is. And I think if I'm not mistaken, one of my cards, I want to say Saber 3 with its pilot, something prevents reacts if I really need.
Uh, Saber.
Try DS61-3.
Yeah, opponent may not react to or same set. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. So I have some tricks there, but yeah, I looked at that card, and the big thing was Gick is not getting through because of Beggar, and so with that, I just felt Tarkin's orders and the Unsalvager were much more useful cards for me.
Got it. Makes sense. So, and you kind of mentioned kind of the combo with using set for stun, control set for stun combined with unsalvageable. Is there a reason you decided not to maybe double up on this combo? Because I imagine for
I've
the
had two. I've had two. Yeah, I've used two before. I've gone down to one. Just it's a Destiny one, and I found that again. I'm trying to eliminate a limited number of ships, and once those shit like if I can get one with unsalvageable set for stun, I'm usually in pretty good shape because I'm gonna hit at least two with weapons. I mean, This thing's got weapons out the wazoo.
Right. Okay. And I mean, obviously, the combo card they make the set for stun part one more force. It was two force. They made it to three in the combo. Do you
Yeah,
find yourself wanting to use it for the control? I mean, obviously, Watch Your Step can be fast. They can get a Kessel fast. They can go to the
I
cantina.
do.
You know,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
do you think it's worth the combo card, or maybe it's better just to do the set for
Yeah.
stun since it's two Destiny and
So
cheaper? Yeah.
so it hurts. The three force does hurt because this deck's always trying to save force because I want to fire my cannons all the time.
Right.
So the three force does hurt. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but two force still does hurt a bit. And yes, to answer your other question, I use the control side of it quite a bit because remember with Sinar fleet systems you can retrieve. So if they're on their last drain of their turn, and it looks like they're not going to have any battles with you, you can control that drain. Then the next turn, deploy a tie, retrieve it back, and you'll still have it.
And we talk about doing battles. Like I noticed, like you don't have like blast door controls, right?
Yep.
And I mean, obviously in this deck you do have Meanda, right? But the majority of your ships here are not like ships that can shoot during the move phase, right? Only
Yep.
this ship. Do you feel like you
Yep.
don't need this, or do people not use barrier anymore, so you're not worried about this, or help me about understand that one?
It's a tough call. It's a tough call, and it's been in the deck. I've had times when I've ran it in the deck.
Okay.
It's one of those 60th card, 61st card type things. Um, barrier is certainly there. What I will say is what you just said is number one, I do have the ability to get people without battling. But number two, if you look at um, the composition of those decks, Watch Your Step and Throne Remains, neither are bringing a lot of systems to the table. Tatooine and Kessel really is it,
Yeah.
and so they're going to run out of places to hide their ship. Is what happens. Yeah, they'll get away for a turn. They will, but it's only a matter of time before there's no systems left without a tie with a weapon on it. And then where do you put the ships? Yep, that's
Okay.
the key.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely a card that, just like the control set for stun, running two of those, absolutely you could run two if you you could run blast door controls and it'd be a useful card. But yeah, this deck, I mean, I did add Janice in it, but it's sometimes tough to get the exact cards in your hand. So I wanted more versatile cards that I'm not sitting there just trying to find this blast door to execute my attack. I can't wait for it. If I can't draw it, then what good is it? And so I wanted to make sure the deck was robust enough that I wasn't feeling compelled that I could only attack if I had blast door controls out.
Okay.
But it's a useful card. It's a good card, and if you can fit it in, if you can find like, oh, I can get rid of this card, more power to them. And I encourage people, hey, tinker away. But yeah, it's a great card, and I would love to have it in this deck if I could fit it.
Okay. And when you're kind of going from PDS2 to Reflections 2 or to kind of classic Novi, even in even like kind of the older decks, like like if you look at the Dark Surgeon, AOBS, no grabbers. In your deck, there's no grabbers. Is that just because Watch Your Step is so fast that there's no point in trying to do grabbers, and the chance that someone might be doing like a throne room mains like Sense Alter deck, it's like it's not even worth putting in a hell to pay, or help me understand that bit there.
Yeah, so that was a real inflection point in the building of this deck. And in my experience, as I mentioned, over that first month of playing the classic Novi, I just was not seeing Sense Alter from light side. I wasn't seeing it happen. So you have the combo card that allows your grabbers to deploy for free and hurts Sense Alter.
Right.
And I toyed with this one being in the deck. And you got to start it. You got to start it. So you can't get rid of combat response. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I just felt like Secret Plans was more pertinent in the current realm. So I liked that. And Insight is one of those that I don't like to lose to odds. I don't like to lose the odds. I hate
Sure,
it. It's
sure.
like, so like I just feel like it gets me my mobilization points. So if I'm not starting it, right now I got this one floating around in my deck that I may not even use during the game. Like, you know, and then if I don't have the grabbers deploying for free, we talked about how my deck needs to have those like extra packets of force and things like that. So it's like, you know, and I don't with this deck expect to be dealing with anything other than the control combo card, the control tunnel vision combo card. Because again, I'm not looking to have a battle with you. I'm looking to shoot you and end the battle and then say, my ships are all here and yours are not. What are you going to do about it? So, you know, all those interrupts that they want to play. I'll tell you the one that got me, almost got me one time was don't get cocky because it like terminates a tie immediately in the battle. And I was like, oh no, like I almost had to put in boring conversation anyway to protect against this particular little nuisance. So it's a good card. And I probably shouldn't be saying that right before we go into this classic no V tournament where I'm going to use this deck. But, yeah, don't get cocky threw me for a loop the first time I saw that one. But that was, I just haven't been abused. I haven't been abused by the interrupts. And until I get abused, I'm not going to put grabbers in there. So, we'll see how the meta runs, but just haven't needed them.
Okay. No, that makes sense, and I think that's the majority of the questions. I guess the only thing I would say is obviously this is set your course for Alderaan. Um, you know, this is a famous deck to use, Brangus, and obviously you're trying a set your course without Brangus. You didn't have Janus before, you added Janus in. Do you think Brangus has a place in this type of deck, or you think, you're comfortable with this and you don't need Brangus, or, help me
I
understand
don't
this
think he
idea.
has a place in this deck. I don't think he has a place because number one, I have Sinar Fleet systems for retrieval. And more importantly, if you're looking at Brangus, that's 5 cards. That's 5 cards to cut out of this deck. 3 Branguses plus the 2 docking bays that you have to add. So what do you want to get rid of? Because when you start trying to trim this down, you start realizing that everyone has their job in this deck. And they're all kind of like, the deck kind of falls apart without each little piece. It's really weird. Like, if you don't have enough Palpatines to sit at the Death Star, you're paying for 3 every single drain. If you don't have 2 copies of Vader, you're gonna have 1 shot to kill anyone. If you get rid of the Imperial artilleries, which are, debatably easy to get rid of, they're not essential. Now you don't have 7s. What if you want to shoot home 1? So it's just there's so much this deck needs to make it work that I just didn't find the space for Brangus, and I don't think the space exists.
Okay.
As much as I'd love to have him, he's a great team player.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, then I think we should go to the game. So,
Yeah.
you game
All
versus
right. So the first
Systics.
one,
Yeah.
yeah, Cystic. So, and these two games are against good opponents here. Cystics with Throne Room Mains deck, certainly no joke. I'm pretty sure it's a classic version, home one, mains. Um, decent starting hand here. We've got Scythe 1 ready to go into action. We've got a control set for stun. And more importantly, we got a system. We've got a Drain 2 system that we can immediately go to and start putting pressure on them because again, Throne Room mains want a slow game. They want to just build up and then they want to put out their big home one and they want to control one dominant site and say, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Goonie Tay doesn't really hurt me much. He comes out with a Luke. Really nice turn 1 for him to have Luke and his Saber out ready to go. But we're going to come with Saber Squadron. We're going to come with Saber 1, Drain for 2, set it up, and say, hey, I'm gonna make you start losing force. So now home 1 comes down immediately. How crazy is this? This is a turn 2 home 1. You see this, Bill?
Yeah.
Turn 2 home 1, and now bang. We talked about this. Saber 4 deploys for free with a pilot, and look at who the pilot is. It is important. It doesn't have to be its matching pilot. Darth Vader is a very, very big pilot that goes on Saber 4 for me. The reason is that home 1 with Thanispi will make it so that you can't draw Battle Destiny if you don't have the right ability. Now, in this case, I don't think he has 2 Mon Calamari on there. Who's the other pilot?
No,
Oh, he
yes,
does. Okay, so
yeah,
this was critical. So I wouldn't draw Destiny here if I didn't use Vader, right?
right.
Fell is ability 3, and if you look, Gunite was out, but it doesn't matter because Vader's free with the Saber Squadron. It's a beautiful thing. And now I
So,
get 2 Battle
okay,
Destinies,
so wait, wait,
and my
wait, wait,
total
wait,
Battle
wait.
Destiny is +2 from Fell.
So wait, okay, I said would deploy the reply reactant battle for free if ties. So I thought this was referring to the tie. But you're saying the pilot deploys for free. That's crazy.
The pilot goes with it for free also. Yep,
That's amazing. Okay, yeah,
it is amazing.
two Battle Destiny +2 because of 2 Saber Squadron. I see why you like Saber 3, Saber 4 so much. Okay,
Yep.
amazing.
And so now this turn 2 home 1 is about to get its butt kicked. We draw 6. I think I had something like 8 or 10 Destiny there, something like that.
Yeah,
And now look at home 1. Where can it run? We talked about this. Where can home run to?
nowhere
It
because
doesn't have a
it's
system.
yeah, nowhere.
It doesn't have a system. So it's stranded. And now it is going to die. It has no hope. It is doomed. And again, once you clear out home 1 on a Throne Room mains deck, they do not have the capability to challenge you in space. You've got a Falcon. Falcon maybe can show up. But when I see home 1 lost, I'm immediately going to spread out and let's start getting some drains rolling here. So I got to get the systems. I only got 1 system out right now. Kessel's only a drain of 1. Previous version of this deck, as you can see, I swapped out Kessel for Tatooine, but I thought, Kessel's got that text where you need ability 6, takes their drain from a 3 to a 2 if I convert their location. But now, boom, there, devastating. 2 systems, drain of 2 at both. Luke's gonna try to do what he can, but he's just not effective enough because again, yeah, what's Beggar gonna do? So here comes all the tricks, and they're just not gonna affect me because this deck is constructed to be impervious to Beggar for the most part. You got to be careful. If Beggar's a possibility, you want to stack up. You see that I had that nice stack going there. And
I do now. He did use Unita to get back his Falcon, of course. Sorry, Falcon. I mean, home 1. Now, of course, he lost. He lost Akbar. He lost First Officer and SB. So his kind of
yep,
combo to lock you out is gone. You
yeah,
deployed here just because you want to overcome battle plans so
yep,
badly, and you want that more than just blocking Luke's drain,
yep, yep. Because I want to drain for 6.
right?
I want to put my systems out, and I want to drain for 6 for free.
And you didn't want to deploy DS-181-3 to here, take no battle damage and block him, or what was your thought there?
So a couple things. The first is that I want him in space if I need him because again he stops reacts. He does some cool stuff. But more importantly than that, what I found is when you play Throne Remains
Mhm.
as opposed to Watch Your Step,
Yeah.
Throne Remains is going to run Corin Horn. Corin Horn will break an undercover spy's cover.
Okay.
So when I play against Throne Remains, I'm not trying to use Orisa as a spy because Corin Horn will just break her cover anyway.
Okay.
And then I got to deal with what if she gets trapped? what if poor Mara gets trapped and now Beggar's a real issue for me, So putting her at the docking bay, it's nice and safe there. Nice and safe.
I see. Okay, yeah, because he could break your cover at Tatooine and potentially. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Another card I used to have you see in there, I lost R2, really useful at trapping their ships, but again, it wasn't getting used. They were already trapped. The weapons were handling what they needed to. So you see Obi-Wan come down here and he's got this Gimmer stick, which is going to make him pretty tough to handle. Immune to all attrition. You can't battle him unless you got somebody high ability there. And he's going to go to the war room and try to set up a drain there. So, as I mentioned, in an emergency, we put the Dreadnought there. We have Tarkin's orders ready to go. And now we have a turn to get Vader with Saber. So you find your Vader with Saber, and now he's going to go fight Obi-Wan. And one of the good things about this deck is, although it's not as high destiny as my light side version of Hidden Base, it's still got some good destinies. So you can hit some stuff.
Agreed. And just a question, because he has Gimmer though, um, you didn't want. I know you said you want to deploy, but you could have also deployed this guy here, and then he couldn't have drained you.
He's got Order to Engage out.
Oh, that would have been bad. Okay, I got you. Good
Yep.
point. All right.
Yeah, if you didn't have Order to Engage, it's good. It's good strategy. Yeah, because he wouldn't be able to battle me either.
True.
So you check your destinies, make sure you can hit. You'll notice that Insight Serves You Well is still out, so Obi-Wan is only defense value 5. And we said let him have a turn of drains. And you see I use the control as a control there.
Yep.
Mostly because, again, against Throne Remains, it's home one in the Falcon. I'm not really worried about so many ships like I am with the Watch Your Step. Grabs my Imperial Artillery, a smart move. Vader's coming down. We know we're going to hit. I guess we could have missed if we got 3-1. 3-1 would have been only miss, yeah. So we clear out Obi. Vader dies as intended. We can now get the Emperor down when we need.
Yeah.
And much like, the other game, he's fighting on, but this game is pretty much lost here. He doesn't have a place to put home one. Where can he put home one right now?
I mean, he can start a battle, but yeah, Zuckuss will cancel his battle destiny. So
and Dengar ruins his immunity.
Yeah, basically, yeah. You have reinforcements, maybe anticipated that. I mean, he could deploy to here, but then he'd just be running away. He could deploy to Alderaan and maybe move to Wakilumi, but that's about all you could do. I mean, only thing that's you don't have Come Here Big Cow in your deck, which is often a deterrent for going to War Room. But
yeah, I've thought about adding that one in too. Yeah. It's a good card.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So got a concession, and let's see about this one here. So this time you were playing Star Wars Trumpet Guy.
Yep. And he's got the Watch Your Step. So I picked, again, decks that you're going to see so you can see how to play against these popular ones. At this time, I was still running this inconsequential losses that lets you forfeit a weapon. But again, I just wasn't getting to the battle damage segment of battles. Like I was just shooting people dead, and then it's like the card was pointless.
Right.
So we got a nice hand here. A lot of versatility with those cards. You got Sign Our Fleet systems for the retrieval. Again, they're doing exactly what they think that they're going to do every game. But here comes Fell, and here goes ship 1. Actually, I think he finds a way to wiggle out of this one. I can't remember what happens, but this battle went as a disaster for me, I think.
Yeah, he drew 1, redraw, drew 4. Okay, but then he does a few maneuvers, and then he's able to do that. And he drew a 0 for Destiny. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it went terrible. It went
terrible. 5. He drew a 5 there, and you have to lose a couple things. Yeah.
Yep, but again, we're sending that tie to the use pile, and we can get the pilot that we lost back if we had a tie, which we don't in this case, but. And I think he battles me here. I think it's a foolish choice. I don't know why, but he battles me, and that's 1 ship down. So we got 4 to go. 4 ships we have to get rid of. He moves over to Tatooine, and again, now I'm looking to get my Tarkin's orders in hand so that I could kind of cancel those drains. I also got I think in this old version I had a U3PO maybe, but there's Tarkin's orders.
Yeah.
So he's got all these patrol crafts and everything. I don't really care about any of that. I'm not fighting them. Those patrol crafts are too strong. But we just doomstack Tatooine like I was telling you. Make it so he's never coming to Tatooine. He does grab the Tarkin's orders. Smart move. And here's ship number 2. So now you see that he's trying, but he doesn't have the matching pilot here. So that's the first problem. So he's not immune to attrition. He does have a cannon on there, but that's, the dreadnoughts here, when they start putting cannons out, you got to respond with dreadnoughts so he can't shoot them because they only shoot starfighters.
True.
So Palpy comes down, so my drains are free. We got Bosk. We got a dreadnought, and I say, what are you going to do about it? I think he barriered something. There was some reason I didn't battle there. I don't know what it was. Okay, Pulsar Skate coming in, and if you'll notice, I got control set for stun and unsalvageable combo in hand. That's probably going to happen.
It's good, and I don't understand why he moved to like why deploy there then move. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
So they have tricks. So first of all, they have hyper escapes, and they also have this card hit and run, which allows them to leave during the weapons phase.
Right, but why deploy Pulsar Skate here if you're just going to move this ship away? Like, why not leave that ship there and then move? Or maybe because Pulsar Skate has immunity and it's better than 0, maybe.
Maybe. I'm not sure of I'm not sure of his reason and why, Probably
Okay.
could have saved a force by doing it reverse.
Okay, so
But
again,
goodbye, Pulsar Skate. See you later.
nice.
That's gone. That's 2 ships down. He's only got 3 left. And again, this is in his head too. He knows he only has 3 ships now too. And so every decision that he has to make for the remainder of this game is under, again, these stressful choices of where are you going to put these ships and how are you going to deal with the fact that I just keep coming into space at drain 2 locations.
Yeah.
You'll notice I'm holding back Sullus, not giving him force icons if I don't need to. When I'm ready to deploy there, I will. So he brings his ground contingent down.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. This ground contingent is not going to do battle damage. You can have two.
You can do whatever you want. Palpy's just going to sit there and laugh.
Yeah, that's I think that's a mistake. Yeah, because you can't kill him with attrition.
Yep. And again, these are good opponents. These are not scrubs. Cystix and Trumpet Guy are both very, very capable opponents. And you can see that they are just completely handicapped by this situation. They don't have moves that are going to impact the game. And so he gets rid of my ship. Good for you. But at the end of the day, your ship's gone. That's 3. He's got Falcon and probably 1 more X-Wing, probably Red Squadron 1. And now I just expand and say, I don't care. You don't have enough. You're not coming to hurt me. And if you do, I'm going to shoot them down too, and you know it.
Yeah,
I mean, look at that spread right there. You've got a drain of 9. What do? You lose. There's no escape. You've lost. Drain of 9. Game over.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 turns, he's dead. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And so he probably concedes here soon. I don't
know.
No,
he conceded already. It's over. He already.
He conceded already. Yeah. So you can see this deck is extremely effective against the 2 top tier decks. And when I'm looking at what I'm going to take to a tournament style, you want to be able to compete against those top decks. So that's paramount. It's a fun deck to play. You get to shoot things out of the sky. You get to add battle destinies. And you've seen sometimes you get to shoot down home 1, and that's really fun. And I'll tell you what, listen, when somebody moves a Scythe Squadron TIE to the same location as home 1 and fires the weapon, you already know. You already know that home 1's gone. Like, what a bad field. Like, that's a bad omen. You do not want to see that show up and fire a shot because there's no reason to fire the shot if you're not going to hit. And, it's just you see that. It's just, that's going away. Home 1's dead. So.
No, yeah, I caught that game. It was devastating. One thing I like, too, is that, Cover Fighter says once per turn. It doesn't say once per battle. So you can even use your Scythe 1 or Scythe 3 and you can miss. And you're like, I miss, I'll shoot again, So you have a little flexibility there. It's great.
And sometimes you need to because, let's say you didn't activate enough force to get to your tracked 7, right? now, but you were one away, so you can go down. And if you have Janice out, you can cover two, off the top.
Right. No, absolutely. No, it's no, it's I think, Meanda and Hebsley or whatever, that are kind of a
Absolutely.
yeah, Hebsley are anything. And what I love is that it's the ship, right? Like, I mean, this guy he adds two
Yeah,
on
another
top.
pilot
It's
can do it.
yeah, another pilot can go on here. You can put Vader in here. You can put, anyone else here, and they can do the same thing. Like, this is really
Yep.
powerful.
Miranda's
And
nice though. He adds two to Destiny.
yes, it's great. No, it's totally great. And no, I saw you shoot home one in another game, very devastating. And I think, like, Saber 1138 had a similar idea of using the Scythe 1 and Scythe 3 pilots at Death Star 1, not Death Star 2. And the center course for Alderaan is a lot more safe than
Safe.
TTO. You know,
TTO, you always got to protect Death Star 2, and it's a struggle sometimes.
right? Absolutely. And it takes a while, but you can move Death Star 1, right? Because if you notice, that these abilities to do an additional move, and so what Saber 1138 would do is that he would duck behind you. So I mean, you can go, like, if you move your Death Star up. So imagine you move your Death Star up to like Kashyyyk, right? You could
Yep.
have your Scythe 1 here at Death Star, move to Kashyyyk, shoot, and move back, right? You know,
It's even better than that. It's even better that he doesn't have to be at Death Star. He makes an additional move and fires. So he could be at Kashyyyk. The Death Star's at Kashyyyk. He moves to the Death Star. Then the Death Star moves. Then he moves to the new system and shoots the person.
oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. He can be at Kashyyyk and then move. Yeah, yeah. He gets two
He gets
moves,
a
right?
move too. He gets
Yeah,
an additional move and a fire.
yeah.
So he's hefty.
No, I agree. So lots of fun potential. So I think you had a version where you had two, fighter covers. Did you find out you didn't really need two? It wasn't,
Yep.
quite as necessary.
Just wasn't getting used enough. Yeah. And honestly, like it, even when I deploy it, it's often I'm hitting them the first shot anyway.
Okay.
But it's a good card. It's Destiny 6. Gets rid of their Admiral's orders if they happen to have the one that I play with my light side deck, which makes their ships all immune to attrition +2.
Right. Yeah. I'll take the leader. Yeah.
I'll take the
Correct.
leader or something.
Yep. Correct. This one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Awesome.
it's a nice card, but not essential.
All right. Well, cool. So we went through the kind of the two examples, two decks. Any final thoughts for anyone else? Any tips on playing the game, getting better at the game? Anything else you want to share for anyone?
Oh, I mean, we could talk for hours, which we already have. But I would say that if you find the game enjoyable, you just you gotta put in those reps, and you gotta play some people, and you know, uh, you're gonna lose some games out there, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, everybody knows I can be a quick quit. If things go very poorly, I'm very happy to just concede and move on because we all have a limited time on this planet. Do I really want to be banging against my head against a wall in a lost game? I don't. I just don't. So my advice to people who are playing is you're going to lose, but if you're not enjoying the game, don't continue the game. Like because it's going to make you jaded and it's going to make you not want to play the next game. Like so. I'm the opposite. As I know a lot of people are like, you got to play it out. You got to grind those wins out so you learn more. And they're not wrong. Like that is, you're going to maximize your learning, but are you maximizing your fun? And this is a game. This is a 30-year-old dead game. I'm here to maximize my fun. I want to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm here to win. But more than that, I'm here to have fun. And if the game's over, in my opinion, if you've defeated me, then I will say good game to you and congratulations, and you're the winner. And I think it's always surprising to me when people are upset that they've won the game. Like they just want you to stay around so that they could beat the crap out of you. And it's like, man, you won. You won. The game is over. You have been the victor. I am conceding to you. I am bowing down and giving you all your flowers. You've won the game. Congratulations. And they get mad. They're so mad. They're like, why'd you quit? Man, it is what it is. So Again, my advice to new players is just to play the game and enjoy it, and find decks that fit your playing style, that make it fun for you. If shooting down the executor is not fun to you, if you're more of like a I'd like to hide and turtle and play odds, then you should do that. I won't like playing against you, but yes, that's what you should do. And you know, I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, have fun with the game. It's 30 years old. I'm so fortunate that we're still playing it. Again, I thank the players committee. I thank people like you and like Board Matt and like Andy Talaga, who are producing content to help people enjoy the game more and improve more. And that's what we need. And I encourage people join the retro tournaments. I don't play open. Maybe one day I'll learn enough to get into that foray, but the retro is a great place to start, and it's a wonderful game. Decipher made some great decisions. They've made some bad decisions, but by and large, I think they made a good game, a robust, a rich game that has many possibilities, and much more than you'd get in any other game. I mean, I play poker, I play chess, and both of those games, are considered to be rich games with a lot of possibility, and they don't hold a candle to Star Wars in terms of variations. So yeah, I love the game. I think it's great, and I'll be around playing it at least for the next few years, I would imagine, and we'll see where the game takes me. And who knows? Maybe I'll get some actual cards one day. I got like a box up in my room that was left at my house from like way back when, and it's got some cards in there, but nothing like super awesome.
No, I agree with you. And I used to have a Jedi Knight Luke. I used to have an Emperor long ago. I think I gave away most of my cards, but no, that'd be great to do as well. And I thank you for your advice, and I think that's a great way to end this call. So I've enjoyed it talking with you and going over your decks and your replays, and I think people will enjoy it too. So I look forward to that. So thank you so much, WormTime/Matthew, and I'll catch you later.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Bye bye.